Welcome back to my YouTube channel, besties. We are going to be live streaming a recording of the 911 call placed by La Guarita 70, aka Candice Smith, reporting domestic violence in 2012. Before I publicize that call, I'm going to be going through some history to document a pattern of her lying to authorities and weaponizing immigration status against her romantic partners, including her current husband, Fidel. So settle in with your coffee. We're going to be starting in just a couple of minutes. Grab your cafecitos. Thank you for supporting my live streams. I'm going to be pinning in the chat the link to become a member. We have had this 911 call for about a month now, and it has been made available to my paid members, but today it will be available for the public, and I will explain my reasoning behind making this call public. And we are also going to be just briefly going through the history of the grandma request. Initially, all of us have heard this 911 call with my paid members, but we got a very redacted version of it. I filed an appeal with the police department, and the Salt Lake City mayor determined that we needed to have full access to the call. The only redactions in the updated report that I have today and the 911 call are names and dates of birth. So that's a huge difference, because a lot of the context was redacted due to an email sent in by Candice where she was opposing the release of the records, citing victim privacy and how she was afraid for her safety. So I submitted a lengthy appeal to the police department and the mayor, just documenting that Candice is a public figure, that she herself has identified herself as a victim in this case, and she has made statements about the police department that the public has a need for transparency in these reports. So today we received the full disclosure of the 911 call and her records, and we're going to go into all of that today. So we are live simultaneously on TikTok and YouTube. I hope you guys had a great Mother's Day. Grab your cafecitos, settle in, and we will be starting in just a couple of minutes. Let me move this. I'm so sorry. Sorry, I was muted. I was shouting out the bestie for sending in the $5 tip. I'm so sorry. I hate when I do that. Okay. I was just saying thank you to the bestie for the $5 tip. And letting you guys know that prior to the live, I did update our whiteboard. We're going to go through a quick history recap before we play the 911 call. So that you guys have some context. And mainly what I'm focusing on today that the series was able to point out is the history and the repeated pattern of lying to law enforcement, which resulted in the deportation of 2 of her romantic partners. Okay, I can tell you, I can assert with facts that Candice is a documented liar. She has lied to the authorities. She lied to the police in both of these cases, both of them. She made statements that were not true in regards to domestic violence, which is the reason why I decided to make the 911 call public. Initially, when I got the 911 call, I felt a lot of empathy for her. As a victim of domestic violence myself, I honestly did not want to re-victimize her and trigger her, because I just felt like it must have been something traumatizing regardless of the context behind it. However, I no longer view her in that light. Now that going through her records, I can prove that she lied to multiple instances. She lied to the courts. She lied to the 911 dispatcher. She lied to the police officers that I personally believe she lied about both of these cases. I don't believe that the domestic violence actually happened the way that she said it. And I feel a need to share the 911 call. I do. Initially, I didn't because I feel like it could be triggering to people. I feel like maybe what was the necessity of publicizing that, you know? I didn't see a need. But now that I have everything and I've pieced it together, I do actually feel a need to just be transparent about everything, especially because she took such a proactive stance in trying to prevent these records from being released. So I will give a disclosure that their trigger warning. This live will contain detailed information and reports about domestic violence. It will contain a 911 call that, regardless of whether it happened or not, could be triggering to some of you that have experienced domestic violence or have had, you know, family members, friends, sisters, anybody that has experienced that. So first, I want to give you guys a recap on the whiteboard and what I have found that I can piece together. If you're on TikTok, sorry, it's not the best view. I recommend that you go to YouTube. Okay, so first, I honestly don't know where to start because this shit is so fucking messy, Candice. I took out her family history, and we're just gonna start with her relationships because this is tailored towards her weaponizing the system against her romantic interests when they break up or they have some type of a fight. So we're going to start when Candice was 18. She married 31-year-old Brian Ferguson. Ironically, Brian Ferguson is a white male, and he is the only one out of the roster that came out scot-free with no criminal charges, no 911 calls. Okay. She married him June 29, 2007 and separated allegedly October 3rd, 2007. But she divorced him in 2012. Okay. This is Carlos Ortiz. I'm not entirely sure when she met him, but I can tell you that she was living with him on January 4th, 2008, while still legally married to Ferguson. On January 4, 2008, Candice calls 911 and reports a domestic violence occurring at her apartment at Park Place Apartments where she lived with her current boyfriend, Carlos Ortiz. Okay. The police arrive, and the police report tells us they were responding to a possible domestic violence situation. When they arrived, when they were approaching Candice's apartment, they heard a male voice saying, "Just give me my money." Somebody opened the door. They were able to talk to both parties, and Carlos Ortiz reports to the police that his girlfriend Candice had just kicked him out the night before, and he was just there to get his stuff. So Candice agreed to let him get his stuff. She hands it to him. He goes in the hallway with the police officers and starts going through his bags. There happens to be a social security card present. Mind you, he is undocumented. Long story short, the social security card that he was in possession of ended up being fake. So he was arrested at Candice's apartment and charged with possession of a forgery device. He bonded out 4 days later. When he bonds out, he goes back to Candice's apartment and again hounds her for whatever money he claims she owes him. She goes to the courts and she files for a protective order about a month after the events. In her request for protective order, she states that during the January 4th offense, he was arrested for domestic violence and that he had knocked down her door, kicked down her door, and broken her cell phone. However, none of that is mentioned in the police report when they arrive. They make no mention of domestic violence. They make no mention of a broken door. And if that had been the case, it would have been listed in the report that we pulled, and it's not. So I conclude that she lied to the courts just to exaggerate it, to get a protective order on him because she owed him money that he was trying to collect from her. So she called the cops on him. They took him to jail, but he logged it out. So that wasn't enough. She took it a step further and went to get a protective order. He ends up charged with fraud and takes a plea deal in November of 2010. He pleads guilty and agrees to self-deport. His court paperwork lists plea and deport. He gets deported November 30th, 2010 at the root of Candice's 911 call where she reported domestic violence. He was not charged with domestic violence. He was charged with fraud and later deported at the root of this call that she made. Why am I pointing this out? Because she did the same thing just a year later to Fidel. Okay, so after he's deported, she meets Fidel. And just a year after he's deported, so pay attention to the dates. Ortiz is deported in November 30th, 2010. Exactly a year later, November 30th, 2011, exactly a year later, she makes a 911 call and she reports domestic violence is occurring at her new apartment with the father of her child, Fidel, who is Fidel Garcia Sanchez. He is arrested at her apartment and charged with domestic violence and assault in the presence of their child. He does not speak English, so he is never able to give his side of the story. They go off of Candice's version of events where she states that he socked her in the jaw. We will be listening to that 911 call today. Okay, he pleads guilty on February 16, 2012, just 2 days after Candice makes a story time on YouTube that he had proposed to her. He's deported March 7, 2012 at the root of this 911 call made by Candice, okay? So we have two separate instances with identical version of events. Something happens at the apartment. Candice calls to report domestic violence. The boyfriend's arrested and deported. Now, this is something you'll find interesting that you hadn't seen prior to today. In the police report that I received today that has not been unredacted in this case, Candice tells the police that she's been with him for 3 years. How is that possible if she was with this dude in 2008? Anyway, so the reason why I decided, and then mind you, she also claims that this is her ex-husband. When the entire time this is happening, she's still married to the old white man, Brian Ferguson. Candice files for divorce for Brian 1 month after Fidel is deported. March 7, 2012, she files for divorce on April 10, 2012. She marries Fidel May 10, 2012. Their anniversary was just yesterday, so make sure you wish them a happy anniversary, because I'm sure she hasn't posted about it because she never acknowledges their anniversary. So anyway, two very similar cases. Very, very similar. Same pattern. Calls 911, reports DV. I can tell you that in this case, it was a lie. There was no DV. There's absolutely no mention of domestic violence in this police report. It would be a safe assumption that she called the police because she wanted him removed from the apartment. He didn't want to leave because she owed him money and he was trying to get his stuff and she wouldn't let him. She calls the cops. They take care of her problem, take him to jail. He bonds out, which was not part of her plan. When that didn't work, she went to the courts, requested a protective order on the basis of lies. It was granted and eventually dismissed because she didn't serve him. Eventually, he ends up deported in 2010 at the root of this call. Fidel also eventually ends up deported in 2012 at the root of her 911 call. So now, we're going to listen to that 911 call. Okay? Any questions? I want to be very clear why I'm publicizing this 911 call and why I'm going so deep into these cases. Although they're years old, her fans are going to say, why does this matter? This happened so long ago. Because this is a woman that while she lived in the United States, she was weaponizing her romantic partner's immigration statuses. And now she presents herself as an ally, as I'm here to help families who are being deported. But she is at the root of 2 separate deportations, including her current husband's. So, first, before I read the 911, do you guys want to listen to the 911 call first or read the new report? I believe Fidel. I don't know that I believe that he actually assaulted her. The 911 call? Okay, first let's go into the 911 call. And then we'll go into the report that contains additional information to the 911 call. Hold on, guys. right. Let me know if you can hear this. Receipts.
Yeah, it's an emergency. 3407 South, 200 East. It's apartment number 10.
Okay, will you repeat that for verification, please?
Yeah, 3407 South, 200 East, apartment number 10.
City?
South Salt Lake.
Can you guys hear? Hold on. I need to update really quick my receipt screen. 2 seconds. A little low, yes. Media. Mm. 911 call. Sorry guys. I'm updating the receipt screen just so that it's better quality. No. Cam 3, me. Sorry, I just fucked this whole thing up. Hold on. Me thinking I had everything ready to go. Okay, me, lower banner. Okay, receipts. Según yo, this was gonna be very fluid. Preset. Here. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Ready, ready, ready. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start it over.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
3407 South, 200 East. It's apartment number 10.
Okay, will you repeat that for verification, please?
Yeah, 3407 South, 200 East, apartment number 10.
City?
South Salt Lake.
And the phone number you're calling from. Tell me exactly what's happened.
My son's father came over to pick him up before I went to school, and I had somebody that was coming over to look at my car because it wasn't starting, and he tried to get in a fight with the person that came to look at my car, and that person left, and he hit me across the face, and he left.
Okay,
and I've had problems with him before.
Okay, did this happen this morning, or this happened just now?
No, just barely.
Okay. What's the name of the complex there?
It's Elm Tree Apartments.
Is he still on scene?
No, he left.
How many minutes ago did it happen?
Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
Did you need any medical assistance? Do I need to start you an ambulance?
No.
Okay. Was he also verbal with you?
Yes.
And what is his name?
His real name is Fidel Garcia Sanchez, but he works and does everything under E-Rosas.
Okay, so Fidel, F-I-D-A-L or E-L?
F-I-D-E-L.
E-L.
I'm going to pause for a moment. I want you to notice how she specifically mentions that he uses aliases. Now, that may not matter to you, but understand that she had prior knowledge that Carlos Ortiz was charged for being in possession of a fake social security card. I believe she mentioned the aliases specifically to try to stick him with some type of charge, the same way that Carlos Ortiz was charged for that fake social security card. There's a reason she mentioned his real name is this, but he uses aliases.
And what was his middle name?
It's just Garcia Sanchez is his last name.
Hyphenated. Okay. And what does he go by?
It goes by Eloy Rosas.
How do you spell that so I get it right for our record?
It's ELOYROSAS.
Okay, and what is his date of birth?
I want to pause again. She straight up threw out his alias and that he uses fake names to work. Everything he does under fake names. Why is that important? Because she had prior knowledge that just a year prior to that call, her ex-boyfriend had been deported and charged for the same thing. She greenlit him, yeah.
So how old is he then?
He's, I think, like 33.
Okay. And what race is he?
He's Mexican.
Okay, and how tall is he?
He's about 5'8".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
Also notice she's no longer crying. She's no longer crying. Seems very calm, very organized thought process, is giving all the information, okay? If you've just been socked in the face and assaulted, are you going to be able to list off, are you going to be able to snitch this clearly? Notice how the crying stopped the minute she starts snitching.
A medium.
And what color hair does he have?
Black, but it's shaved bald.
What was he wearing today? Do you remember?
He was in like a teal blue shirt and just like blue jeans.
Okay.
There it is. That's exactly what he was wearing in his mugshot. Here's that teal shirt.
And did he have any weapons?
He had a chain wrapped around his left hand.
Did he use that to hit you with?
No, he took the chain off before he hit me.
Okay.
This call hits differently. Okay.
Was he intoxicated or on drugs?
Not that I know of, but I have no idea.
Okay.
There you
Does
go.
he have any scars, marks, or tattoos?
No.
Okay. What?
She also threw him out for his substance use. When they asked, is he consuming anything? And she goes, not that I know of, but I know that he has before.
At Essequibo River 9365 cent $2 cheese Maybucks. Gumshoe Annie with the receipts.
Let me play.
Vehicle was he driving?
He was driving a 2000 Ford F-150.
What color?
It's red, and it's just four doors.
And you said it was a 2002?
2000.
2000.
Sorry. Yeah.
Is it registered to him?
So they did redact who it's registered to, but she also goes the extra mile and lets them know that the truck is not even his. So all the information she knows about him, everything, and it's all regarding his paperwork and his legality. Fake, he uses fake name, works under a fake name, drives a truck that's not his. Everything she knows about this man is getting thrown into this 911 call on supposedly a domestic
Witness
violence
this
call.
happened?
Yes.
How old is your son?
He's almost 2.
Okay.
Acknowledges her son's there and was there.
Okay, and what is your name?
It's no longer about the DV. It's about fucking him. And that's why she's including all these specific details about his legality or lack thereof. If you're reporting a domestic violence, why do you need to share that he works under different aliases? Why do you need to share that his truck's not registered to him?
You, if your husband comes back, just get
Also, this is the same woman that got on live on her YouTube channel and told you and her husband that she was an uncooperating witness.
call back immediately on 911, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
That 911 call hits completely different than it did a month ago. Now that we know that before that call, exactly a year before that call, her ex-boyfriend had gotten deported at the root of a 911 call she made on him too, alleging the same thing, domestic violence. But when the cops showed up, there's no mention of domestic violence in the report. Now I'm going to go through the report because the report has additional information that was left out of our first grammar request. And it does have context that I think is important. So these are just the notes of the CAD call, okay? This is what the officer noted. How did the call come in? 911. November 30th at approximately 4 p.m. Okay. Was contact made with the person that called? Yes. Let me scoot this over. Caller information, they redacted her name, but we all recognize her voice, right? Right. Location of offense, her address, apartment number 10. Relevance of location to parties involved. Residence of blank who has custody of her and the suspect Fidel Garcia Sanchez's child, Diego. Relationship between parties. Formally married. I want you to pay attention to this because she told the police officers that she was formally married to Fidel, all while she's still currently married to Brian Ferguson. Now, why does this matter? Because this shows you that she exaggerated certain things. In the state of Utah, or any state at that, when you are married, when you live together, certain crimes are classified as domestic if you establish a legal relationship between the victim and the suspect. So ask yourself why she would tell the police that she was formerly married to Fidel when she hadn't married him. And in fact, she was currently married at the time of this phone call to Brian Ferguson. She lied to him. And I want to point this out because she lied to law enforcement. And it might not seem like a big deal to you. It's just a little, there is a strategy. There's a reason why she lied about being married to him. Then she lists the length of relationship being 3 years. Now that's fucking crazy. So that would mean this is November 2011. She's telling the police she's been with them for 3 years, going back to 2008. But that's crazy because in 2008, she also told the court that she was separating from Carlos Ortiz and needed a protective order against an ex-boyfriend that she used to live with. See what I'm saying? So she lied about that as well. Prior similar incidents. Yes, not reporting according to Candice. Physical evidence supporting cohabitation. And this is a legality they need to establish to charge him. Candice stated that she and Fidel were formally married and had lived together for 3 years and also had a child in common. 2 of those things are false because they didn't live together for 3 years if she was living with fucking Ortiz. According to this request for protective order that she filed, she told the court that she used to live with Ortiz at this other apartment complex, Park Place Apartments, and we know that she lived there for the entirety, if not until after she had Diego. Okay, so she lied about that too. So she lied about 2 of the 3 qualifying things to be able to establish the relationship that's needed to legally charge him with domestic violence. Why is that important? Because if these things were not met, domestic violence would not be the underlying charge. It could possibly just be assault. But because there is a history of them living together, and she said we lived together for 3 years, that was a lie because she was living with Ortiz. Okay, they also weren't married because she was currently married to Brian Ferguson. Is the child his? We don't fucking know. But she's claiming that that's the dad. Okay? So victim information. We know it's Candice Sanchez, Candice Smith, because we all recognize her voice. Emotional condition. Hysterical and crying. Well, that's crazy because on the phone she seemed very calm, but let's keep going. Physical condition or injuries. Candice had a red mark similar to the shape of a fist on the left side of her face on her cheek. The left side of her face also had a large area of noticeable swelling. The extent of the swelling was not easily visible with photographs, but for the short amount of time after she had been hit, The swelling was significant and appeared to be substantially increasing throughout my interaction with her. Photographs, yes, taken by Officer Hill. Excited utterance, he hit me in the face. These are her words. Observations and statements supporting or questioning victimization. Candice had visible marks and injuries consistent with being hit in the face. Her emotional condition was hysterical and crying when I spoke with her. When Fidel showed back up at the apartment after he left, she screamed, "It's him," started crying again, and said, "I'm so scared." That's crazy, Officer Hill, because she followed that motherfucker across the border to another country. Yeah. I want you guys to pay attention for the exaggerating factors. He comes back and, "Oh my gosh, I'm so scared," right? Suspect information, Fidel Garcia Sanchez. His emotional condition is listed as calm. No physical injuries. No photographs. No excited utterance. Observation of statements or question criminal activity. See narrative. Children present. Diego, and she told us that he's almost 2. Location during the incident, front seat of Fidel's truck. Emotional condition, hysterical and crying, calm after I arrived. This lists the child as hysterical and crying, but did we hear him in the 911 call hysterical and crying? No. All right. Additional information. Fidel had been drinking alcohol. He had an odor of an alcoholic beverage coming from his breath. I did not know how much he drank because he didn't speak English. Candice said she had not been drinking and I did not smell any alcohol around her. Does victim desire protective order? Yes. All right, now let me read a recap. Okay, this is a physical domestic violence report where the suspect, Fidel Garcia Sanchez, assaulted his ex-wife, Candice Smith, by hitting her on the left side of the face with his closed fist in the presence of their 2-year-old son, Diego. On November 29th, 2011, I responded to the address, a report of domestic violence occurring. When I arrived, the suspect, Fidel Garcia Sanchez, had already left the scene. I spoke with the victim and complainant, Candice Smith. When I knocked on the apartment door, Candice, and this is what was previously redacted. For those of you that have been following the series, this is what was previously redacted. When I knocked on the apartment door, Candice answered and was crying hysterically and said, "He hit me in the face." I noticed that Candice had a red mark on the left side of her face and there was little but minor swelling. It took me a few minutes of speaking with Candice to calm her down enough to be able to explain to me what had happened. After she calmed down, this is what she told me. Now, I will say it's very interesting that she was hysterical when the police arrived, but she was very calm when she was on the 911 call, giving up all that information about Fidel. Candice said that she and Fidel were formally married and had lived together for 3 years. Candice said they also have a son in common, Diego. Candice said that they have a custody agreement and Fidel had come over to her apartment to pick him up for the night. Candice said that there was no verbal or physical altercation.
Rodriguez 3735 has purchased a membership.
Welcome, Karina. Candice said that there was no verbal or physical altercation when Fidel came to pick up Diego. Candice said after Fidel picked Diego up, he then took Diego to his family's apartment, which is in the same complex, but on the north side of the parking lot next to 200 East. Candice said that she had a class to attend tonight in West Jordan. That was also previously redacted. But her car would not start, so she called a friend of hers, Anthony, to come help her jumpstart the car. Candice said Anthony arrived and started hooking her car up to try and jumpstart it. She said that shortly after Anthony was in the process of trying to jumpstart it, Fidel came speeding up in front of the apartment in front of her and Anthony's car and stopped in front of them with his Ford F-150 truck. Candice said Diego was in the front seat of the truck and was looking at them. She said Fidel then got out of the truck and had what she said was a chain wrapped around his left hand while making a fist. Candice said Fidel then walked up close into Anthony's face and started yelling at him in Spanish. Candice said she feared what Fidel was going to do to Anthony, so she ran over and put herself in between Anthony and Fidel. Candice said Fidel never assaulted Anthony, nor did Anthony assault Fidel. She said after she put herself between them, Anthony immediately got into the vehicle and left the scene. Candice said after Anthony left, Fidel then pushed her up against her car, held her there by pushing on her chest, and continued to yell at her in Spanish. Candice did not know what Fidel was saying because she only speaks a little Spanish. Candice said after Fidel pushed and held her up against the car, he then brought back his right hand in a cocking motion and hit her on the left side of her face with a closed fist. Candice said he never hit her with his left fist that had the chain wrapped around it. However, in the 911 call, she told the dispatcher that he took it off before he hit her. Candice told me that she could see her son Diego watching them from the front seat of the truck during the altercation. Candice told me that after Fidel hit her in the face, she got away from him, went to the truck, grabbed Diego out of the truck, and ran inside her apartment. She said she then locked the door and called 911. Candice said immediately after she entered her apartment, Diego dropped to the floor and started screaming and crying. Candice said it took her several minutes of talking to him before he calmed down enough to get up off the floor and go to his room. Candice said a few minutes after that, he stopped crying. At the time I arrived, Diego was calm and had not been crying. Why am I pointing that out? Because she paints the story that even the child was hysterical and crying, but by the time the cops got there, the child was fine. She was hysterical and crying when the cops got there, but on the 911 call, she was just fine and calm. Do you see how I believe she was exaggerating things. I believe you couldn't hear him in the 911 call when she was calling 911. So let me get this straight. You waited until you could get the baby to stop crying to call 911? Why don't we hear a crying baby when she called 911? And if it's such an emergency, why do you have to get the baby to stop crying before you call 911? That doesn't make sense. I believe a real victim of DVs, let me rephrase that. I believe it would make more sense that she would have called 911 immediately. It's inconsistent. There's a lot of inconsistencies in the 911 call to the report in which she tells the cop once he gets there. Okay? I provided Candice a witness statement to fill out, which is attached to the report, as well as a domestic violence pamphlet with the case number. Candice told me she adamantly wants a protective order. I tried to contact Anthony to ask him to tell me what happened, but there was no answer. I left a voicemail message for him to call back. After several minutes of speaking with Candice, I noticed that the swelling to the left side of her face had increased quickly and substantially. Photographs were taken by Officer Hill. However, it is difficult to see the extent of the swelling in the photographs. Candice refused medical attention and did want me to call for medical to respond. While I was finishing talking to Candice, Fidel pulled up out front in his truck. When he pulled up, Candice yelled, "It's him, I'm so scared," and started crying and breathing uncontrollably again. I then made contact with Fidel. I'm sorry, but I'm going to call bullshit on this. It's giving theatrics. Now remember, she's in theater. Remember, when we're reading this police report, how she's able to cry on cue and she's exaggerating things. Also remember the sketch cabaret days. That part of her time in the sketch cabaret is acting and posing. And I do think that has a lot to do with her ability to just play along. It's giving circus act. Fidel did not speak very much English. However, when I approached him, he pointed at me and then at Candice's apartment and said, "You hear from me her fight." He then made a motion with his closed fist. There were no Spanish-speaking officers on duty at the time. When I was near Fidel trying to communicate with him, I could detect the strong odor of an alcoholic beverage coming from his breath. I did not locate a chain inside the vehicle or on Fidel's person at the time. Why do I think that's so important? Because I don't think it was even there to begin with. The chain that he supposedly got out of the truck with that was wrapped around his wrist, and she tells him, but he took it off before he hit me. And then she told the officer that no, he hit me with the hand that didn't have the chain in, and then the chain was never fucking found anywhere. I believe that was a part of her, again, trying to exaggerate like he had some type of weapon on him when he didn't. From the information I had with Candice, her emotional condition, the visible red mark, and swelling on her cheek, I arrested Fidel for Class A domestic violence assault and Class B domestic violence with the child present. After I placed him in handcuffs, they were checked for proper fit and double locked. transported him to the Salt Lake County Jail where he was booked. For simple assault due to the injury caused on Candice's face, and Class B with a child present because Diego was present during the altercation. A no contact order was issued to Fidel at the jail, which was interpreted by a Spanish-speaking Salt Lake County jail officer. Fidel signed the no contact order, and the rest is where they charge him. We know the rest. Now, I want to read to you the case with Ortiz so that you can see that it is identical to this one. Okay, now, unfortunately, we don't have the 911 call for Ortiz. We only have the police report. Okay, but it's enough to show us the pattern. Okay, and it's very short. So in the police report for Ortiz, this is what this says. Officer Connor and I responded to a possible domestic violence call. Tina, thank you. We are going to play it again. Tina, thank you so much for supporting the live stream. And
61 has just tipped $49.99 through Super Chat.
Shout out to Tina.
Always come through, bestie. Growing heart emoji.
Thank you. We are going to play the 911 call again. Do you want it before or after I read you the police report in the Ortiz case, which is very, very similar to Fidel's case? Well, let me play it again. So now that we've read the police report, let me play you the 911 call again. I think it's better now so that you have a fresh synopsis or whatever of the 911 call. And we'll play it again after Ortiz. Okay? So here goes. One more time. After? We'll play it before, during, after, all of the times. But right now, it's fresh.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
3407 South, 200 East. It's apartment number 10.
Okay, will you repeat that for verification, please?
Yeah, 3407 South, 200 East, apartment number 10.
Which city?
South Salt Lake.
And the phone number you're calling from?
It's worth mentioning. This didn't happen right. She didn't call right away. Okay, so she ran into her house for about 15 minutes, claims to have gotten her child under control before she calls 911. So this didn't just happen. There's been some time between when she was assaulted to when she's calling.
Tell me exactly what's happened.
My son's father came over to pick him up before I went to school, and I had somebody that was coming over to look at my car because it wasn't starting, and he tried to get in a fight with the person that came to look at my car, and that person left, and he hit me across the face, and he left.
Okay,
and I've had problems with it before.
Did this happen this morning, or this happened just now?
No, just barely.
Okay. What's the name of the complex there?
It's Elm Tree Apartments.
Is he still on scene?
No, he left.
How many minutes ago did it happen?
Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
Also note that she refers to him as her son's father, not her ex-husband, not her ex-boyfriend, my son's father.
Did you need any medical assistance? Do I need to start you an ambulance?
No.
Okay.
Let me pause this. She was able to calm the baby down, but her grown-ass adult self. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Reyes. I don't know why I didn't read that one out. I don't think Anthony existed.
Was he also verbal with you?
Yes.
And what is his name?
His real name is Fidel Garcia Sanchez, but he works and does everything under Eloy Rosas.
Okay, so Fidel, F-I-D-A-L or E-L?
F-I-D-E-L.
E-L. And what was his middle name?
It's just Garcia Sanchez is his last
okay,
name.
hyphenated, okay. And what does he go by?
It goes by Eloy Rosas.
How do you spell that so I get it right for a record?
It's ELOYROSAS.
Okay, and what is his date of birth? So how old is he then?
He's, I think, like 33.
Okay. And what race is he?
He's Mexican.
Okay, and how tall is he?
Quick with it, too. He's Mexican.
He's about 5'8".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
Medium.
And what color hair does he have?
Black, but it's shaved bald.
Did you notice how
What was
quick?
he wearing today? Do you remember?
He was in like a teal blue shirt and just like blue jeans.
Okay. And did he have any weapons?
He had a chain wrapped around his left hand.
Did he use that to hit you with?
No, he took the chain off before he hit me.
Okay. Okay. Was he intoxicated or on drugs?
Not that I know of, but I have no idea.
Okay. Does he have any scars, marks, or tattoos?
No.
Okay. What vehicle was he driving?
He was driving a 2000 Ford F-150.
What color?
It's red, and it's just 4 doors.
You said it was a 2002?
2000.
2000.
Yeah.
I just find her calmness very intriguing.
Is it registered to him?
Like waterworks and then just calm, straight snitching on everything. Things that don't have to do with DV, in my opinion. Like, why do you need to lay out the legalities of his name, his alias, who owns the truck? You just know what I'm saying?
Witness this happen?
Yes.
How old is your son?
He's almost 2.
Okay. Okay, and what is your name?
Candice Smith. Candice Smith, and my grandpappy is Calvin Smith. Come in. Close the door right now.
If your husband comes back, just give us a call back immediately on 911, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Now, keeping that in mind, we're going to go straight into the report for the boyfriend that a year ago to this call, exactly on the date, she had deported for something similar. Okay, now I want you to keep all of these facts together so that you can see the pattern of her calling and reporting domestic violence that didn't happen. If you have doubts about this one, okay, let me show you the next case. So the next case, she files a request for a protective order on her ex-boyfriend who she was living with in 2008. His name is Carlos Ortiz. She told the court he has broken my cell phone, punched a hole in my wall, and threatened to call his big friends. Okay. She lists that he's got some pending charges. All right. This is where she describes the domestic abuse to the court. He has been calling my cell phone nonstop since Friday the 8th of January. He has also been watching my apartment. I was walking home and he stopped me, told me I owed him money, that he was going to kill himself, and he was going to send people to take care of me, and also threatened to contact my family. I pushed past them and ran to my apartment and locked myself in, and my landlord has been walking me to my home since. He has sat outside of the building all night and continuously called my phone. She says that he's threatened to send his friends after me, contact my family, and kill himself. Now, she lists a specific date right after New Year's where she tells the court that the police came, there was an arrest made, and listen to what she says happened. He became upset over my ex-husband contacting me. Mind you, she's still legally married to Ferguson during this case and the Fidel case. He became upset over my ex-husband contacting me. He broke my cell phone and punched a hole in my wall and tried to break down my door. He also tried to overdose on cocaine. Now pay attention to what she said. He became upset over my ex-husband contacting me. That's the same thing she told the police, that Fidel got mad because my friend came to help me with...
He has purchased a membership.
Thank you, Bestie. Sometimes you guys make me do that. So the same thing she reported to the cops with the Fidel case is what she reports in the Ortiz case. She says, he became upset over my ex-husband contacting me. With the Fidel case, she tells them, he became upset because my friend Anthony came to jumpstart my car. So she is planting that in both cases, her ex-boyfriends are having jealous fits pretty much. Yes or no? That's how I'm interpreting this. The same thing, she reported the same thing. They're jealous over my ex and they abused me. Now, she paints to the court that he was arrested for this. Now, breaking down her door, punching a hole in her wall, and her cell phone is considered domestic violence. So if the police had arrived, they would have arrested him if they found evidence of this. Now, the police report is crazy different than what she reported in this request for protective order. Okay, the police report in the Ortiz case lists the following. Hold on. Ortiz case. Officer Connor and I responded to a possible domestic violence call at redaction. As we approached, we could hear a male saying, "Just give me my money." Now pay attention to that, because Candice said that he was mad over her ex-husband contacting him. She doesn't mention he was mad over some money, but the police specifically noted that they could hear him through the door saying, "Just give me my money." So the disagreement seems to be about money, not what Candice is telling the court, that he was jealous because my ex-husband is reaching out to me. Okay. As we approached, we could hear a male saying, "Give me my money." The male was identified as Carlos Ortiz. I questioned Ortiz as to why he was there, to which he stated that his girlfriend, complainant Candice Smith, had kicked him out the night before, and he was trying to get his money from her. Now, that is a very different version of events than what Candice told the court about he got mad because my ex-husband contacted me. In fact, she had kicked him out of a shared apartment, and there seemed to be some dispute over money. But she is machining it to the court like it's a jealous fit of rage, and he's doing all these crazy things. Candice agreed to give Ortiz his belongings. After obtaining his things, Ortiz was going through them in the hallway with officers present. Ortiz was asked if he had any identification, to which he stated no, because he was undocumented. A social security card was in plain view in the backpack. Now, pause. I want you to picture this. They're arguing in the apartment. He's trying to get his belongings, and she calls the police. When the police get there, she agrees to give him his belongings. Then he sits in the hallway going through his things. If he had been the one to collect his belongings, do you think he would have been going through them in the hallway? Or would it make more sense that she grabbed his shit, handed it to the cops gave it to him, and so he's in the hallway making sure all his stuff is there? Coincidentally, there's a social security card in plain sight, which I believe Candice strategically made sure was present. When asked if it was a social security card, Ortiz said yes. Officer Connor asked to see the card and was handed the card by Ortiz. He was asked if it was real, to which he stated no. He was read his Miranda rights and placed in handcuffs. Sergeant Hill performed the arrest check and Ortiz was taken to jail. While in transport to jail, Ortiz stated that the card was not his. We responded that his name was on the card, it was in his possession, and that he stated it was his. So he was arrested for possession of a forgery device, the fake social security card. So mind you, she called the police on him to get him out of the apartment, and he ends up arrested. This case ends up in a guilty plea in November 30, 2010, where he is given a plea deal to plead guilty and self-deport, which he takes. So this man was deported over this phone call. Now, this report has no mention of domestic violence, none. If the police had arrived and there had been a broken down door, if there had been a broken cell phone, like she reports in the request for a protective order, the police department would have handled this call as a domestic violence disturbance, but there was no mention of any domestic violence, which tells me that it didn't happen. Otherwise, it would have been noted in this report. So this sent this man to jail. He bonds out a few days later, goes back to Candice's apartment to try to collect that money that she owed him. She obviously didn't want to pay him, so she goes a step further and requests a protective order an entire month later. And in this protective order is when she exaggerates. She doesn't include the police report. She paints it like he was arrested for domestic violence against her on this date, which is not the case. She was granted this protective order, and in the protective order, she specifically asked the court to order him to stay away from her and to not contact her or her family. And again, she told the court, come in. If it's not, is it important? Then no. If it's closed, don't open it. Don't they see I'm in full-blown class right now? Okay. There was another thing in here that I thought was interesting. Okay, so here's a date. The most recent abuse on the 11th after he bonds out. So in summary, notice the same pattern. She calls and reports domestic violence because he's jealous that I'm talking to my ex. He's jealous because my friend's helping me jump my car. They get arrested, they get charged and deported. Both of them. In both cases, she knows who the fuck she's dating. She knows they're undocumented. And despite that, she calls 911, throws them completely under the bus. This is his real name, but he works under an alias. Here's a social security card. I'm going to put it where it's visible when I hand them his stuff. Look at the pattern and then tell me that these two cases are a coincidence. Both men were deported at the root of a 911 call placed by Candice where she alleged domestic violence that in this case did not happen. I can confidently assert to you that in the Carlos Ortiz case, there was no domestic violence that happened when the police arrived. And in the Fidel case, I have reason to believe it also didn't happen. I believe she exaggerated. She strategically knew what to say because by then she already had experience with this case. By then, she already knew that he was deported because of that social security card. So when she calls 911, she specifically tells the dispatcher he works under fake names. The car is not his. This is his alias. She gives information strategically so that one, he's potentially charged with fraud. Two, she lies and says we were married, we lived together for 3 years. They didn't live together for 3 years because she was living with Ortiz, right? So she makes false statements to the police to make sure that they could establish a relationship of living together, of being married, and those are legal components that are necessary for a case to be classified as domestic violence. So what is she doing? She's weaponizing the system against her undocumented romantic partners. Am I changing my mind on him being an abuser? I don't know. Yes and no. There's a part of me that doesn't believe it happened the way that she said. There's a part of me that believes he could have, might have. I don't know. But I'm simply going off of the police reports and what's there. And I don't believe her. I don't believe she's a credible witness. She is somebody that has lied. In all the reports that I've pulled, I can spot out multiple lies. I can tell you that she lies depending on what's convenient at the time, depending on what her end goal is. She lied about the child being present, but when she called 911, she made sure she specified the child was present. I don't believe she's a credible witness, so I can't tell you that I believe he actually socked her in the face. I don't know that I believe that. I would believe that she's the type of woman that would self-inflict those injuries. The same way she lied about other things when she called in that case, the same way she lied about the Ortiz case when there wasn't no domestic violence. So I personally have the personal opinion, and it's my personal opinion that she is a documented liar and that she lied about the domestic violence in both cases. That's my personal opinion. The police, the public records tell me she lied at least on the first case. On the second case, it was her word against his, and he didn't fucking speak English, so we never heard his version of events. Now, I'll remind you that the version of events she gave in front of him to you guys is she said we were both responsible. We were both responsible. There's a reason she said that. I believe that's the version of event he believes. I don't think he knows that she did all this. I don't think he's ever heard this 911 call. Do you want to play it again? Do you want to hear it again? It's a pattern of her lying and exaggerating things to achieve an end goal. So mind you, by the time she reported Fidel, she already had one deportation under her belt. She had already used the authorities to rid herself of Ortiz just a year later. Just a year later, Ortiz, and the dates are crazy. It must be, it's just like divine justice. I don't know. But the dates are very crazy. November 30, 2010, Ortiz is deported. Exactly a year later, she makes the 911 call to report Fidel. And he's eventually deported a few months later. Let me show you the dates for TikTok if you're not. Look. Real quick. Take a screenshot so you can go through the case. But, hold on. Look at the dates. He's deported November 30, 2010. 911 call in Fidel's case is placed exactly a year later. These two cases are identical. They're not coincidences. They're not. They're identical. Once you line up the information, the dates, everything, and mind you, when she called the police, she told them that she's been living with him for 3 years when there's an entire case prior with this guy. Decline. That's crazy. That's very telling. Do you guys want to see her version of events now? Let's now compare her version of events on the 911 on her YouTube video to the 911 call. Okay? So, let me play
911, what's the address of the emergency?
3407 South, 200 East. It's apartment number 10.
Okay, will you repeat that for verification, please?
Yeah, 3407 South, 200 East, apartment number 10.
Which city?
South Salt Lake.
And the phone number you're calling from. Tell me exactly what's happened.
My son's father came over to pick him up before I went to school, and I had somebody that was coming over to look at my car because it wasn't starting, and he tried to get in a fight with the person that came to look at my car, and that person left, and he hit me across the face, and he left.
Okay,
and I've had problems with him before.
Okay, did this happen this morning, or this happened just now?
No, just barely.
Okay. What's the name of the complex there?
It's Elm Tree Apartments.
Is he still on scene?
No.
Okay.
He left.
How many minutes ago did it happen?
Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
Did you need any medical assistance? Do I need to start you an ambulance?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he knows about this call. Yes, she said my child was present. Nada Rain, thank you so much. Oh, did it pause? All right. Now let's compare that. I know that wasn't the full call, okay? But compare that to her version of events in this video.
Before Diego turned 2, we had a domestic violence incident. Let me scroll down to that so that I can tell you what those charges were. While we won't get into all of the details of the domestic violence, I will tell you that Fidel and I both had equal parts in that incident while we were in Utah. So I'll leave that at that. Fidel was ultimately charged with 1 count of assault, Class B misdemeanor, and he was also charged with domestic violence in the presence of a child. I declined to press charges against Fidel. However, the state of Utah still reserves the right to, and they pursued those charges without a cooperating witness, which was me. I will tell you also that Diego was not in the room with us. In Utah, if a child is present in the residence, not present in front of the fight or whatever's happening, they still make it domestic violence in the presence of a child. So they could be 3 stories down in the same residence and it's still in the presence of a child. When we went through all of this, Fidel had an outstanding warrant for not following up.
All right, one more time. Compare what you just said to the 911 call.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
3407 South, 200 East. It's apartment number 10.
Okay, will you repeat that for verification, please?
Yeah, 3407 South, 200 East, apartment number 10.
In which city?
South Salt Lake.
And the phone number you're calling from?
So in the video, she told you the
Tell me
baby
exactly
wasn't
what
there.
happened.
My son's father came over to pick him up before I went to school, and I had somebody that was coming over to look at my car because it wasn't starting, and he tried to get in a fight with the person that came to look at my car, and that person left, and he hit me across the face, and he left.
Okay,
and I've had problems with it before.
Did this happen this morning, or this happened just now?
No, just barely.
Okay. What's the name of the complex there?
It's Elm Tree Apartments.
Is he still on scene?
No, he left.
How many minutes ago did it happen?
Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
Did you need any medical assistance? Do I need to start you an ambulance?
No.
Okay. Was he also verbal with you?
Yes.
And what is his name?
His real name is Fidel Garcia Sanchez, but he works and does everything under Eloy Rosas.
Okay, so
She specifically
Fidel,
said-
F-I-D-A.
Specifically said he works and does everything else under Eloy Rosas. Why do you think she specified that he works under that name? Because a year prior, she got her ex-boyfriend deported for that fake social security card. And she has knowledge by now of the Ortiz case and what happened with him using an alias, working under a different name. That's why she threw in there. His real name is this, but he works under and does everything else under Eloy Rosas.
Or E-L?
Fidel.
E-L. And what was his middle name?
It's just Garcia-Sanchez is his last name.
Hyphenated, okay.
Even down to the spelling of his name.
And what does he go by?
It goes by Eloy Rosas.
And again, he goes by Eloy. Why is that relevant? Because in this call, she's giving all the information she can to bury him. This isn't about, I'm afraid for my safety. This is no longer about domestic violence. And I don't think it ever was. In the same way that when she called the cops on her ex-boyfriend a year prior, it was not about safety or domestic. It was about getting him out of her house. And he ended up arrested.
How do you spell that so I get it right for a record?
It's E-L-O-Y-R-O.
He even spells out his alias.
Okay, and what is his date of birth?
It's giving...
So how old is he then?
He's, I think, like 33.
Okay. And what race is he?
She's Mexican.
Okay, and how tall is he?
Something about that bothers me with the quickness. He's Mexican. First of all, Mexican's not a race. But you see how quick? Oh, and he works under a fake name. What does this create? This is all the information that's going to the responding officers. Now, this is the same woman that told you that the Utah was the one that went after him, and the Utah cop stopped him for no reason and like profiled him. I wonder fucking why, Candice, because when you're calling 911, you're giving them all the information to racially profile him as an undocumented immigrant. He uses a fake alias, works under a different name. Here's his spelling. The car's not registered to him, and he's Mexican. Okay, all that information she's giving is strategic because that's the information going to the responding officers, and of course they're gonna profile him with that info. Of course.
He's about 5'8".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
Medium.
And what color hair does he have?
I think you can hurt me though.
Black, but it's shaved bald.
What was he wearing today? Do you remember?
He was in like a teal blue shirt and just like blue jeans.
Okay. And did he have any weapons?
He had a chain wrapped around his left hand.
Did he use that to hit you with?
No, he took the chain off before he hit me.
Now, mind you, this is the phone call that set his deportation into motion. This is the phone call that got him arrested and charged with domestic violence and deported just a few months later. This is the phone call that separated her family. This is the phone call. This put it into motion. And this is the same woman that's on here snitching on her undocumented husband, not even about the DV. He got fake paper. He's a Mexican. The truck ain't his. That's the same woman that got on here and told us a story about how hard it was for them, about everything she suffered, everything her family went through because of the deportation. The U.S. government deported you think you can hurt me? La, la, la. The U.S. government deported my husband and I moved over here with nothing. Bitch, you put it into motion. That's the same woman representing the struggle of deportation. Not one, but two men deported at the root of her 911 call. And that's the same woman that's on here now telling you a very different version of the story. That's the same woman that victimized herself and her family. The same woman that told everybody and multiple news outlets that they're victims of the broken immigration system. When she asked the system to protect her from her abuser. She asked the system to take these men out of her apartments. And what did they do? Well, they deported them because they didn't have no fucking papers. This is the same woman that now claims to be an ally, but when she lived in the United States, she was no fucking ally. She was weaponizing the status of her romantic partners at her convenience to get them out of her apartments when she owed them money, to get them fucked up because she got mad at, or for whatever reason. So the same woman that's now claiming to be an ally is when she lived in the States, she was no fucking ally, bitch, and she still ain't no ally. She was a fucking Republican, using her Republican roots and connections to get these men booted because she was pissed off at them for whatever reason, including the father of her child that she's now with. She went from this, and in the police report, it mentions how when he came back, she got hysterically upset and she said, "I'm so afraid that's him." That's a white woman. That's a white woman tears using her white privilege to get this Mexican that works under a different name with no social, with somebody else's truck, out of her room, out of her apartment. Yeah. Tell me that don't hit different. That she was a fucking Karen. My name is Karen. But she was your typical white woman. 911, what's your emergency? My boyfriend's abusing me. Send somebody quickly. And they weren't actually abusing her. But what she wanted was for them to get removed from her apartment. Knowing they were undocumented, she made those 911 calls knowing what would happen to them. knowing what would happen to them. She gave all the information law enforcement needed to flag them as undocumented men that were going to be handed over to ICE, and that's exactly what happened. You can't spell Candice without ICE. 2 different men, 2 different stories, but the same pattern. She calls to report domestic violence. The domestic violence is not in the room when they arrive. Both men are arrested, charged, and ultimately deported at the root of her 911 call. If somebody has that TikTok, send it to me really quick. I didn't have it ready. The la la. You think you can hurt me? The same woman that got on here telling that story about everything they'd suffer and the kid. And then again, let's play her version of events again about the domestic violence.
A cooperating witness, which was me. I will tell you also that Diego was not in the room with us. In Utah, if a child is...
So when she told social media the story, she specified Diego wasn't in the room. But when she called 911, one of the first things out of her mouth, and she highlighted that her child was present multiple times. When the police came, she told the police her son was hysterical for 15 minutes, screaming and crying, and he was present, and I just barely got to calm him down. So notice how the narrative changes depending on her audience, who she's telling the story to. When she was talking to the cops, she exaggerated the child's presence, his reaction, that he was kicking and screaming and hysterical. Over here, she's telling you he wasn't even in the room. He was like 3 floors away. The state of Utah, you know how they are. You know how, all I got to tell you is that it's the state of Utah. The state of Utah charged him without a cooperating witness. That's the uncooperating witness, mind you. On YouTube, she's an uncooperating witness, but when she called the popo ho, she was giving everything and anything she could about Fidel. She gave up things that had nothing to do with the DV. She gave up the spelling of his alias. She said he works under a fake name. That's not his real name. The truck's not his. You spell it like this. He's Mexican. Oh, okay. If that's uncooperating, I wonder what cooperating looks like, bitch. If that's you as an uncooperating witness, snitchery 911, I wonder what it looks like when you're actually cooperating. The same the uncooperating witness, when the police pulled up, right away told him, I want a protective order. This scary Mexican man, take him away. He just clocked me in my jaw. So do I believe it happened? Personally, no. I don't believe it happened the way that she said. I'm not saying he didn't abuse her, when or how it happened, because I wasn't fucking there. But based on those reports, I believe she lied the same way she lied when she called the cops on Carlos Ortiz and got him deported. I believe she lied. I've clocked her lying in multiple reports, including the one where she called the cops on Fidel. She told him that she was formerly married to him, which is crazy because she was married to Brian at the time. She told him they had lived together for 3 years, which is also crazy because she lived with fucking Ortiz the year prior. She made strategic statements to make sure that these crimes were classified as domestic violence. Specific statements that they had lived together and that they had been married and that they shared a child. Those are very, very, very specific statements made. Why would she need to lie about them being married when she knew she was still married to Brian? Why would she need to lie about living with him for 3 years when she knew she hadn't been living with him for 3 years? Because she had been fucking around with Ortiz since 2008 and telling the court that they were living together, which is why she needed a protective order from him and his big friends, remember? So which is it, Candice? The story seems to flip-flop depending on who she's telling the story to. So because of this, I don't believe her. I don't believe she's a true victim of domestic violence. I believe that she is the abuser. I believe she is the one weaponizing statuses.
3407.
Both men ended up deported over that. Over the 911 call that she made. No, she didn't call ICE. She didn't need to. She knew what would happen. Both of those happened during the Obama era. And we know Obama. They call him deporter in chief for a reason. So politically, she knew what time it was. She knew what time it was. Y'all want the 911 call again? I feel like I played this so many times. Let me know if you get bored of it. For those of you that missed it, here you go.
South 200 East. It's apartment number 10.
Okay, will you repeat that for verification, please?
Yeah, 3407 South 200 East, apartment number 10.
Which city?
South Salt Lake.
And the phone number you're calling from. Tell me exactly what's happened.
My son's father came over to pick him up before I went to school, and I had somebody that was coming over to look at my car because it wasn't starting, and he tried to get in a fight with the person that came to look at my car, and that person left, and he hit me across the face, and he left.
Okay,
And I've had problems with it before.
did this happen this morning or this happened just now?
No, just barely.
Okay. What's the name of the complex there?
It's Elm Tree Apartments.
Is he still on scene?
No, he left.
How many minutes ago did it happen?
Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
Did you need any medical assistance? Do I need to start you an ambulance?
No.
Okay.
Really quick. Before we finish playing the call,
Think about
yeah, that video hits different, huh? Actually, let me play it with the 911 call as a fondo.
Was he also verbal with you?
Yes.
Yeah, these TikToks hit different, huh?
And what is his name?
His real name is Fidel Garcia Sanchez, but he works and does everything under Rosas.
Okay, so Fidel, F-I-D-A-L or E-L?
Fidel.
E-L. And what was his middle name?
Somebody remix this video.
Just Garcia-Sanchez is his last name.
Somebody remixes TikTok with the 911 audio.
What does he go by?
It goes by Rosas.
How do you spell that so I get it right for a record?
It's Eloyrosas.
Okay, and what is his date of birth?
Yeah, this little TikTok, it's different, huh?
So how old is he then?
He's, I think, like 33.
Okay. And what race is he?
He's Mexican.
Okay, and how tall is he?
He's about 5'8".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
Medium.
And what color hair does he have?
Black, but it's shaved bald.
What was he wearing today, do you remember?
He was in like a teal shirt, like a teal blue shirt, and just like blue jeans.
Okay. And did he have any weapons?
He had a chain wrapped around his left hand.
Did he use that to hit you with?
No, he took the chain off before he hit me.
Okay. Okay. Was he intoxicated or on drugs?
Not that I know of, but I have no idea.
Okay. Does he have any scars, marks, or tattoos?
No.
Okay. What vehicle was he driving?
He was driving a 2000 Ford F-150.
What color?
It's red, and it's just 4 doors.
And you said it was a 2002?
2000.
2000.
Yeah.
Great example why context matters. Absolutely.
Is it registered to him?
Fidel is sleeping with the enemy, absolutely. I'm certain he doesn't know about this. I'm certain his family's never heard this. I'm certain she's never heard this call. I think she might have actually forgotten what actually went down and what she actually said.
Witnessed this happen?
Yes.
How old is your son?
He's almost 2.
Okay. Okay, and what is your name?
Candice Smith.
you. If your husband comes back, just give a call back immediately on 911, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
I wonder if she remembers her lies as well. But if not, we just gave her a great fucking refresher. So again, why does this matter? I have a huge problem with that woman being the face of deportation when she's had a hand in 2 separate deportations. Mind you, we have very limited information on Carlos Ortiz and his family, but he was deported too because of that 911 call that she made. And mind you, all Carlos was doing when she called the cops is trying to get his stuff and whatever money she owed him. When that didn't work, she took it a step further and tried to get a protective order on him. Carlos Ortiz did not abuse her physically. There was no evidence of it. And I'm talking about the 911 call that she made. She alleged domestic violence, and there was no record of it in the police report. It almost sounds like she called reporting domestic violence because she knew that they were going to show up quickly, and she was trying to get him out of the apartment. So the only thing Carlos did, she had just kicked him out the night before, left him on the streets, was trying to get his stuff. She called the cops on him, had him charged, and had him deported. Fidel, God knows what actually happened, but same thing. They get into some type of altercation, whatever. She decides to call the cops, report domestic violence. He gets arrested, deported. It's not a fucking coincidence. It's the same MO on both cases. She calls and says they were jealous because of my ex-husband contacting me. He was freaking out because my male friend came to help me with the truck. So same MO. To a T, it's identical pattern that she calls to report domestic violence because of a jealous rage of the Mexican undocumented boyfriend, and then they get arrested and deported. Now, that 911 call, when I first listened to it, I remember feeling empathy for her. I was like, damn, I'm not going to publicize this. I believed her. I consider myself a feminist. I consider myself a girl's girl. And despite my history with her, I had empathy for her and I believed her until I found the Ortiz records. All these reports have multiple lies in them. We've spent weeks going through them. We just went through the Fidel report and she made multiple false statements. So I've proved that she has lied to the police, to the courts. I believe we know she's lied to her audience. Who hasn't she fucking lied to? And you know what? I still can't fucking find that NBA bitch. 2 months into this series and I can't find a thing on her MBA. In the police report, she told the cops she was on her way to class in West Jordan. I guess that gives us a clue of where she was going to class at. I don't think she has an MBA. All of you that keep defending her, that she makes all this money because of an MBA, where is it? Where is it? Because she's lied about absolutely everything in her story. Everything is a lie. Where the fuck is the MBA? That Diego was in the room. Diego wasn't in the room. I was married to Fidel. I was married to Carlos. I was married to... The bitch can't keep her lies straight, okay? The amount of men she's claimed to be married to is crazy. But and out of all this, the only man that came out of this unscathed was the white man that she married. The one that should have been reported, at least. And the white man was the one that probably should have been charged with something because he was fucking with her since she was 16 years old, so much that her biological dad tried to legally intervene. The white man is the only one that got off with no charges. And the 2 Mexican undocumented men both took away charges at the root of a 911 call placed by her. That's fucking telling. That's telling. Out of all the dudes you fucked with, the one that had this clean record that got out with unscathed by her was white. Ferguson couldn't be deported. Oh, she knew. She knew cuando topa pared. That's why she wasn't fucking with the white man. She probably wouldn't get far with the white man. But that's why when she was calling the police, she is giving out specific information so that they're getting profiled. He's Mexican, works under a fake name, the car's not his, he, big scary hombre. When she calls 911, she's specifically describing him as an undocumented Mexican immigrant. And that's the information that's being sent to the responding officers. Can you play the 911 call again? Sure, we're going to play this 911 call quite a bit. We're going to get so familiar with it. And you know what? when I first
911
listened
yeah,
to
for
it,
the
again,
emergency.
I had empathy, but now that I listen to it, like it comes off as fake crying, inconsistent, supposedly hysterical when she calls, and then as soon as she starts snitching, calm, collected, knows all the information off the back of her. If you just got socked in the jaw, are you gonna remember all these specific details about the truck not being registered, about the fucking alias, the spelling? The bitch is having a spelling bee on the 911 call, but she just got socked in the jaw. I'm sorry. As somebody that has been in a domestic violence incident myself, multiple, I probably couldn't even tell you the fucking ABCs when I called 911. Too fucking specific, too calm for me.
3407 South, 200 East. It's apartment number 10.
Okay, will you repeat that for verification, please?
Yeah, 3407 South, 200 East, apartment number 10.
Which city?
South Salt Lake.
And the phone number you're calling from. Tell me exactly what's happened.
My son's father came over to pick him up before I went to school, and I had somebody that was coming over to look at my car because it wasn't starting, and he tried to get in a fight with the person that came to look at my car, and that person left, and he hit me across the face, and he left.
Okay,
And I've had problems with it before.
did this happen this morning or this happened just now?
No, just barely.
Okay. What's the name of the complex there?
It's Elm Tree Apartments.
Is he still on scene?
I just feel like I need to play this video for you guys. With
How many
audio.
minutes ago did it happen?
Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
Did you need any medical assistance? Do I need to start you an ambulance?
No.
Okay. Was he also verbal with you?
Yes.
Now, pause. She says he was verbally abusive, but she told the cop she didn't understand what the fuck he was saying because she don't speak Spanish. So how is he verbally abusive to you if you can't even understand what the fuck he's saying, Candice? There's so many inconsistencies if you compare the 911 call to the report and what she tells the responding officers.
And what is his name? His real name is Fidel Garcia Sanchez, but he works and does everything under Eloy Rosas.
Okay, so Fidel, F-I-D-A-L or E-L?
F-I-D-E-L.
E-L. And what was his middle name?
It's just Garcia-Sanchez is his last name.
Hyphenated, okay. And what does he go by?
It goes by Eloy Rosas.
How do you spell that so I get it right for a record?
It's E-L-O-Y-R-O-S-A-S.
Okay, and what is his date of birth? So how old is he then?
He's, I think, like 33.
Okay. And what race is he?
He's Mexican.
Okay,
He's
and how
Mexican.
tall is he?
I don't like the way she said that.
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
It really bothers me how she said he's Mexican. Is it just me, or do you catch there's something in the way she quickly says he's Mexican? Let me play that again.
So how old is he then?
He's, I think, like 33.
Okay. And what race is he?
He's Mexican.
Okay, and how tall is he?
He's about 5'8".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
Medium.
And what color hair does he have?
Black, but it's shaved bald.
What was he wearing today? Do you remember?
Regretted he's
He
Mexican.
was in like a teal, like a teal blue shirt.
And why are we crying when we're describing what he's
like
wearing?
Blue jeans.
Okay. And did he have any weapons?
He had a chain wrapped around his left hand.
Did he use that to hit you with?
No, he took the chain off before he hit me.
Okay.
Also, like, how does she know he took it off before he hit her? Did he specifically say, hang on 1 second, and then sock her?
Okay.
I will die on the hill that this bitch was a MAGA supporting Republican when she lived in Utah. That he's Mexican. Is the way she says it is so telling. The way she throws him under the bus for his illegalities is so fucking telling to me. These are things she was clocking in her mind. There's a reason she remembers them. There's a reason she makes note of what he works. He does everything under aliases. The truck's not his. He's Mexican. He's done this, but you see what I'm saying? It's telling. And again, the way she says he's Mexican just rubs me the wrong fucking way. And Mexican is not a race. Mexican's not a race. Okay? Miss MBA.
Was he intoxicated or on drugs?
Not that I know of, but I have no idea.
Does he have any scars
She's
marks?
currently registered as what's the non-affiliated? We looked up her voting status. She's not Republican. She's not Democrat. What's the one unregistered or what's the one where you registered like unknown, like in the middle? Well, that's what she is. No, not liberal. You guys, remember we looked it up. Her voting status is non-affiliated party or some bullshit like that. So she's not red, but she's also not blue. Undecided independent. Mm-hmm.
Tattoos?
No.
Okay. What vehicle was he driving?
No. The reason why she's so specific about these things is, mind you, by the time she makes this call, she already has Carlos Ortiz deportation under her belt. She already saw Ortiz arrested, charged, and deported for having a fake social security card. So with that knowledge, she still tells this 911 operator that he uses a fake name. This is his alias. This is how you spell it. He works under this name, does everything under this name, but his real name is Fidel Garcia Sanchez. This call is to report an undocumented immigrant, not domestic violence. Pay fucking attention. If you break down the call and you listen, you realize that this call is not to report domestic violence. This call is to report 911, what's your emergency? My baby daddy doesn't have papers. He works under fake social. His car's not registered to him. This is his real name. This is where you can find him, and the truck's not even his. That's what this 911 call was for. It wasn't to report domestic violence. The majority of the call is spent giving out Fidel's illegalities of his documentation. Not, this is where you can find me. Not, I'm afraid for my safety. Not, I'm looking out the window. None of that. Read between the lines. Listen to the tone. He's Mexican. His real name is this, but he works under this, and the car's not even his. And yes, he's done this before. And yes, he was verbally abusive. And yes, my child was right there. And I'm so scared for my safety. Come get this bad hombre. Mind you, he had already left. She said he had left. She watched him pull out of the apartment. She knew she wasn't an immediate threat anymore. It's giving Erica Kirk. Yes. When you call 911 when the picture frame was punched, did you give all those details? No. I said, I had a similar situation. Walter and I got into a domestic, and eventually I can pull a 911 call on that. And he punched a wall with a picture frame. Our son was there. He was drunk, and he left. I called 911, and I told him, this just happened. He left driving drunk. So my initial concern was that he's driving drunk. I knew he was fucked up, and I didn't want him to hurt himself or anybody else. And number two, I don't want him to come back. That's it. That's what I reported to the police. The police came. They assessed. They saw my son was there, and they eventually did charge him with domestic violence simply because they came and saw that the picture frame was broken. I didn't report that he hit me because he didn't. I just said we got into an argument. He punched the wall, and he took off drunk in his truck. I want to make sure he doesn't come back, and he's out there driving drunk. No, I didn't tell them he didn't have papers. No, I didn't tell him, and I knew Walter didn't have papers. Because my end goal wasn't to get him fucked up. It was just, I want to make sure he doesn't come back. And if you see him out on the road, pull him over because he could hurt himself or somebody, because I knew he was fucked up. So that was my experience with reporting a domestic violence. And I've had a few of them in Utah, right? We could eventually pull them and compare them. But the way that I interpret this call is so different than when I first listened to it a month ago. A month ago, I listened to this call and I remember feeling like, damn, this is heavy shit. Like, I was blind to this call. Let me play he's Mexican again.
And what does he go by?
It's by Eloy Rosas.
How do you spell that so I get it right for record?
It's ELOYROSAS.
Okay, and what is his date of birth? So how old is he then?
He's, I think, like 33.
Okay. And what race is he?
He's Mexican.
Okay, and how tall is he?
He's about 5'8".
He's Mexican.
Thin, medium.
No, I'm not saying don't call 911. Thank you for bringing that up, Yana. I'm not mad at her for calling 911 if DV happened. And that's what I said a month ago. That's what she should have done. But I can tell you that DV didn't happen in the Carlos case, and she called 911 for DV. I can tell you that she made multiple false statements in the report about DV with Fidel. Multiple. So if he actually clocked her, yeah, call it a popo ho. But all this extra information she's spilling about him, it makes me question why she actually called 911. And I don't believe it was for a DV. I don't. And that is my personal opinion. That's my personal opinion. Based on what I've researched, I can tell you she's a documented liar. She was comfortable lying to the police in both cases. She was comfortable lying to a court judge. She was comfortable lying to a federal judge in his sentencing case, because I'm adamant she doesn't actually hold two fucking degrees or an MBA. She was comfortable lying to millions of viewers. She was comfortable lying in front of fucking news reporters that were gonna air the story nationwide. She was so comfortable knowing that these records exist, and she still lied. Okay, so this is somebody that is very comfortable and has been lying since at least 2008 to the authorities, and never once has been caught up. I can tell you she was comfortable enough lying on her PPP loan application. Oh yeah. So this is what happened. Fidel gets deported in 2012 because of her. He goes back. They get back together for a couple years, and then he gets redeported because that was her fucking karma, bitch. How the fuck you gonna get him deported and expect to live a happily ever after in the US of A? So that second deportation, I remember, her story, her public story, has always started at the 2016 deportation. And you know what, bitch? I'm so fucking proud of me, because at the beginning of the series, my biggest red flag in question was, why doesn't she ever talk about the 2012 deportation? Why do all her interviews start in 2016? Because she was behind the 2012 deportation. That's why she didn't have it in her to tell the story of the 2012 deportation and what happened. And that she's the one that made the call. She's the one that set his deportation in motion in 2012. And then got on here and did these little dancies. The United States deported my husband. Candice, what this should say is I helped deport my husband. I asked the United States to deport my husband is what the shit should say. So she started telling the story of the United States deporting my husband. So I moved to a small town in Mexico with nothing.
At J. Vasquez 78872 has purchased a membership.
Welcome, J. Vasquez, and started over. And it's the best decision I've ever made. When she says the United States supported my husband, like technically they did. But this implied the U.S. did this to me and my family. This implies the United States, that they're victims of the United States immigration system. That's what these captions implies. That's what her entire storyline has been. and this is how she was able to integrate herself into the undocumented community. This is how she tried to make herself relatable. This is how she presented herself as an ally. The U.S. did us wrong. So I packed up and I moved over here. Now I'm one of you guys, knowing good and goddamn well, she is not one of us.
37.17 $4.99 cheese Maybachs.
And when she was in a position to be a real ally, this is the shit she was doing. When she was in the position to actually help and be an ally, this is what she was doing.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
3407 South, 200 East.
I mean, I could play it again and again and again and again. But the way that she made herself relatable and infiltrated our community, really, and now paints it so much so that she represents us now. Candice Smith is a representation for the undocumented community on social media. Candice Smith is representing the deportation struggles. Candice Smith is the face of family separation. This same woman that when she lived in the U.S., when she had the power to be an ally, when she was in a position to help us, voice us, what was she doing? 911, what's the address of your emergency? Hi, I have a very dangerous hombre. He's Mexican, works under the table, so a fake social security card. Come get him. He's very, very, very dangerous. I'm very, very scared of him. That was Candice when she lived in Utah. Yeah. And now she found an opportunity to monetize off of his story. She appropriated his story, his trauma that she partly inflicted. Now we're building a forever home with your tax dollars, your donations, and your sympathy of our story. Because we got here with nothing. Because the United States supported my husband, so I moved to this small rural town with nothing and started over, and it's the best decision I've ever made. That just don't sit right with me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. They just don't sit right with me. Yep. And that chat is a summary of what I wanted to cover today. We have been able to piece together this story through public records. These aren't coincidences. These aren't maybe this. These are facts. These things happened. She said these things. These are her voice recordings. These are her statements. These are her files that she's linked to, that she thought nobody would ever dig up. So when she told you guys that I was dangerous, this is what she meant. This is what she meant. There's all things happen for a reason. There's a reason her and I bumped into each other. There's a reason why her and I ended up in some beef, because I'm probably the only person that would have ever found out the truth about Candice Smith. Nobody else. And that's why she doesn't want to be featured on news articles with me. That's why she doesn't want to work with me. That's why she's afraid of me. Just like she told the police, oh my God, that's him. I'm so scared. That's what she tells you guys about me. But is she really scared, chat? Because the same man she told the police she was so scared of, she packed up and moved all the way over here to another country where there's no more 911. What's her emergency? There's no more responding officers. Yeah, so that whole I'm afraid for my safety is her MO. I'm so scared for the safety of, I'm afraid for my safety has been working for her since 2008. I'm afraid for my safety has been weaponized against undocumented immigrants and other Mexicans since 2008. And she's doing it now. I'm afraid for my safety. She's using the same I'm afraid for my safety card in fucking Mexico because she's been doing it since she was up there. Play the la la la. I don't want to play the audio because it'll copyright me on YouTube. I'll play it with no audio. Candelaria, what a trouble. And did you know that yesterday was her anniversary to Fidel? You can't spell in. You know what? Also, can we get a little messy? Her timeline is fucking crazy because in her police report, she tells the police that she's been living with Fidel for 3 years. So this tells me she was fucking them both. It has to. Like, she's so messy. When she tells the officer that she's been living with him for 3 fucking years, but then the Ortiz files overlap those 3 years. Carlos Ortiz is her ex-boyfriend, the first boyfriend she had deported in 2008. Well, in 2010. A year before she calls the cops on Fidel, she got Ortiz deported in 2010. Her timelines are crazy. I wouldn't, yeah, you know what? I wouldn't want my name next to her. I wouldn't want my story. My story is in a different realm, like completely different realm. Yeah, it'd be interesting to find Carlos Ortiz. I don't know what became of him. I can't find any record on him since his deportation. So I do believe he was deported and didn't go back, at least not to Utah. Digging up someone's past when it has nothing to do with life they live today is necessary. No, it's very necessary, Abby. The reason why this is necessary is how do you present yourself as an ally to the undocumented community when you weaponize status while you lived in the United States? Tell me how that's irrelevant to the life that she lives today when she is the voice and face of deportation on social media and across multiple news stations. That's why this is relevant. For those of you that are going to try to defend her and say, this doesn't matter, it was long ago. Oh, it matters. This is the same woman that the Latino community has platformed to represent us. And when she had the opportunity to represent us in Utah, where it fucking mattered, she was helping deport us. She's behind 2 deportations, and you're going to tell me it's irrelevant to her current life when her entire storyline is built on life after deportation, the struggles of family separation, we were victimized by the immigration system, the United States deported my husband, and I'm here with nothing. You're going to tell me it's not relevant when she's still monetizing off of our community when she is part of the reason why people are over here getting deported. Oh, bye. It's relevant. And if you're going to talk about, especially when there's children involved, well, she doesn't care about her children being involved because she continues to lie on them. She was quick to use her child when she called the police and when she lied to you guys. So depending on who she's telling the story to is how she uses the child as a pawn for more oomph or less oomph. So if you're going to tell me we should do this because there are children involved, take that shit back to his mama. Okay? Because she's made such a fucking weave out of their digital footprint. And unfortunately, her children are part of her digital footprint. Unfortunately, she's been a very messy mother. And that's coming from a messy mother herself. So you ain't going to tell me nothing about you should feel bad for her children. That's not my job. That's her job. That's her job to protect them kids, not me. People supporting her on the basis of being an ally should know that she's not a real ally. Should know that she's behind 2 deportations. Should know that she called 911 and lied to them on 2 different occasions, and that resulted in the deportation of 2 men. 2. Not 1, 2. Exact same pattern, exact MO to a T within a short period of time. She's a serial deporter, okay? Deporter in chief. Bye. And if you still support her after this, power to you. But there are some of us that don't and won't. And my job here is done. And I'm very proud of the work that I've done on this series. Because this series has also been advocating for deportation stories. This series has also been advocating for the community that I'm a part of, and that most of you guys are part of it as well, with family members, spouses, friends, whoever, or your parents. This entire series is advocating for the real deportation stories, not the story of a white woman that weaponized status and that has used us for monetization at her convenience, that has flip-flopped and told the story and whatever narrative is convenient at the time of what she wants her end goal to be. Because when she told you the story, she told you the kid was impressed. She minimized all of it. She glazed it. But when she called the cops, Oh, she highlighted. The child was there, and it took me 15 seconds to call him down, and I'm so scared, and he's coming back. Yeah. Give us the same fucking story, bitch. Stand on business. I'm sorry, but I'm disgusted with her. And I'm disgusted with all of you that still support her in that niche. And that man, I believe, is sleeping with the enemy. Absolutely. Abby, we don't have time for you. We really don't. Bye. I am not here for people signing up for Candice. Go sign up for her on her platform. Here, we're in class. Don't be receipts are not biased. Receipts don't take a side. Public records don't take a side. So before you turn this into you're being spiteful, you're being hateful, these are hard facts of things that happened. We are fact checking a story. And you don't have to fuck with me. You can love her, but you cannot deny the truth. And these receipts speak for themselves. The receipts are not biased. They don't take sides. They just tell you what fucking happened. And then you can decide what to do with that information. But you know what? As much as she's, trying to do control damage and people are still supporting, good for you. But this will forever now be part of her story. She may not have told the truth, but we did. We did. So now when people hear her story, it's going to hit a lot different. It's going to hit a lot different. The only thing that changes the size of her bank account. I'm not mad at her. Get your bag. But the way that she has obtained that off our backs, pretty much, I have a problem with that. The way she's appropriated our culture, our stories, our trauma, our religion, down to her fucking last name. Her name is not Candice Garcia Sanchez. Her name is Candice Smith. Her legal name is Candice Smith, and there's a reason why her name is still Candice Smith. So when she goes to Utah, she could still be Miss Smith. But when she comes here, she claims to be Garcia Sanchez, so she could be one of us. Her kids are Smith as well. There's a reason she made sure Smith is still her last name. So when they go to Utah, they're not profiled as Mexicans. Like when she called 911 on Fidel. When it's convenient, she's a Mexican. When it's not convenient, she's a Smith, and I'm afraid for my safety. That is the white privilege, and she uses it accordingly, both here and over there. There is no NBA. You really think if an NBA existed, we wouldn't have found fucking something in this series? We have found things we weren't even fucking looking for, like Brian Ferguson and Carlos Ortiz. You think if there was an NBA, we wouldn't have stumbled across a commencement ceremony, I don't know, an alumni records. And mind you, I've sent multiple clearinghouse requests to multiple universities, including Salt Lake Community College, where she lived by, also Westminster. There's nothing. There's no record for an MBA on her. There's no record for a fucking bachelor's. Tell her to show that shit. You guys, as an audience, as a community, we should be demanding answers from her. Absolutely. We should be demanding accountability from a white woman profiting off our back. Maria, thank you. She said, Maria says she wants to make it rain. Thank you so much, Maria. I appreciate you guys supporting the series.
7934 has just tipped $49.99 through Super Chat. I want to make it rain, rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
Thank you for giving me a little breather, because I'm getting real pissed off. This story pisses me off, you guys. I'm very mad about this. I'm very invested. I'm very emotional. I'm very triggered about this woman's fuckery. I'm so new to this drama. Whoever deals, she needs to be pulled if she doesn't deal with Hispanics. Yeah. She's not one of us. Point blank period. She never will be. She never was, never will be. Only when it's convenient for her. Only when it's convenient. And when it's not, 911, what's the address of your emergency? Who didn't hear the 911 call? Do you guys want to listen to it again while I go potty? The world is smarter than we think. Hopefully someone from his family realizes what she is. You know, publicizing this phone call, initially, I've had this call for over a month. And when I got it, you got, like, if you were there, you know what it is. I wasn't going to publicize this. But I feel like it needs to be public. Not just for me, not just for you guys, but also for him and his family. I don't believe they know what she did to him. I don't believe him or his family. And I'm not saying it's going to make a difference. I'm not here trying to get him to get divorced or anything. But damn. Imagine building an entire life with somebody that you have no idea did that shit to you. Imagine. And now that tells you why she moved out here. Guilt. I would want to know. All right, I'm going to play the 911 call while I go to the bathroom real quick. For those of you that missed it, here it is. The betrayal.
Son's father came over to pick him up before I went to school, and I had somebody that was coming over to look at my car because it wasn't starting, and he tried to get in a fight with the person that came to look at my car, and that person left, and he hit me across the face, and he left.
Okay,
and I had problems with it before.
Did this happen this morning, or this happened just now?
No, just barely.
Okay. What's the name of the complex there?
It's Elm Tree Apartments.
Is he still on scene?
No, he left.
How many minutes ago did it happen?
Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
Did you need any medical assistance? Do I need to start you an ambulance?
No.
Okay. Was he also verbal with you?
Yes.
And what is his name?
His real name is Fidel Garcia Sanchez, but he works and does everything under Rosas.
Okay, so Fidel, F-I-D-A-L or E-L?
Fidel.
E-L. And what was his middle name?
It's just Garcia-Sanchez is his last name.
Hyphenated, okay. And what does he go by?
It goes by Eloy Rosas.
How do you spell that so I get it right for a record?
It's E-L-O-Y-R-O-S-A-S.
While we're playing this call, I want to remind you guys that Candice has been watching this series, and she tried as much as she could to prevent these records from being released, and now you know why. The email that I have here is the email that she sent to the prosecutor's office ahead of my request before I even submitted it to ensure that no records would be released for the safety of her family.
Okay, and what is his date of birth? So how old is he then?
He's, I think, like 33.
Okay. And what race is he?
He's Mexican.
Okay, and how tall is he?
He's about 5'8".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
Medium.
And what color hair does he have?
Black, but it's shaved bald.
What was he wearing today, do you remember?
He was in like a teal blue shirt and just like blue jeans.
Okay. And did he have any weapons?
He had a chain wrapped around his left hand.
Did he use that to hit you with?
No, he put the chain on before he hit me.
Okay.
Really quick, let's go back to her objection, and I'm going to read you what her objection says. To who, mind you, she sent this in a night before I even filed my grammar request. Okay. I have been informed that a grammar request has been submitted for records redaction. Mind you, The police department was supposed to give me this without these redactions. I didn't receive that in today's email, so I did follow up with her because I want this email without all these redactions. I'm formally requesting that any release of records be denied or significantly restricted due to safety concerns. Disclosure of any identifying or contextual information redacted. Thank you, Belinda.
Belinda Gar has just tipped $49.99 through Super Chat. Objection denied, Big Bird.
Okay, she says, I specifically request that this case be classified as protected under GRAMA and that no information be released that could directly or indirectly identify me. Please treat this as an urgent safety matter and confirm that my objection has been received and considered prior to any release. This is her trying to create damage control. This was her trying to prevent us from receiving these records. This is her invoking her I'm afraid for my safety card all over again, all the way from fucktard Atzicintla, Mexico, emailing the prosecution's office so that we couldn't get a hold of the records. This should tell you how she moves behind the scenes. For those of you that think she's unbothered, Candice hasn't even responded. Candice never posts about you. She's just living her life. This email she sent to the prosecutor's office before I even filed my request was very fucking telling. Very fucking telling. If you can't hear me, step out and step back in. Yeah, my mic is working. Having issues with audio. Yeah, I'm not sure why it keeps cutting out. My mic is picking up audio. We can all hear Booze leave and come back. Okay, thank you, Belinda. Who said esa welfera 70? I'm so sorry, that took me out. We've been calling her a welfare queen, but the welfera was crazy work. Yeah. So for those of you that think she's unbothered, she's just living her life, she doesn't even care about it. No, she does. She was actively trying to prevent us from getting a hold of these records, and now you know why. Now you know why. That was funny. A lot of people were on welfare in the United States and still are. And did they move to Mexico with that welfare or no? Do they continue to receive that welfare or no while they're living in another country? No, I guarantee you she's watching these. Especially the 911 call. If you were Candice, are you not going to tune in to hear your 911 call from 15 years ago that you've never heard yourself? I guarantee you she's never heard this. You think you're not going to tune in to listen to that 911 call? I would. Keep it a buck. I would be watching. If somebody's doing a series on me, exposing me or whatever the fuck, and bringing out things that I'm actively trying to keep under wraps, oh, I'm fucking watching. Let's stop. She was watching my lives last year and screen recording them and sending them to Rafa. And you're going to tell me she's not watching the series? She was watching my live when I was just doing a little hee-hee ha-ha talking shit back. You think she's not glued to her fucking shit? Subscribe, paid member, trying to see how much is going to come out? Because imagine what I haven't found. Imagine what I haven't found. Yeah, miss me with that. These tortas are weird. Just own your shit. It's really... imagine going to these links and really all it takes is being truthful. The fact that you would rather go out of your way and risk this falling into my hands, because this tells me she's not as educated as you guys think, by the way. Miss MBA? You really think Miss MBA... Miss MBA, like, look, I don't even have an MBA. And I know that if I send any fucking correspondence to the government, it turns into government property that can be summoned through a grammar request. For as smart as she acts like she's a smart white woman, you really think we weren't going to get a hold of this? She really thought that her white privilege was going to be enough to say that her victim, she used her position as the victim to try to cover up his records. Pay attention. This is the same thing as this video. This video is a visual representation of the victim using her status as a victim, her privilege as a white woman, to shield her abuser. She did the same thing in this email. Used her position as the victim to say, as a victim, I don't want this release. I'm afraid for my safety. And they obliged until I appealed and gave them the victim's real history. Did you know that the same person that emailed you that she's afraid for her safety? Hold on. Let me pull up my grandma appeal real quick. The same person that just emailed the prosecutor's office, come on, is the same woman that married him? Did you know the person that emailed, Miss Salt Lake City Mayor, did you know that the same victim that is telling you she's afraid for her safety if the records are released is living with the abuser and married him? Did you know that? Miss Salt Lake City Mayor, did you know that she actually, the same victim that told you and that she doesn't want to be identified, actually already identified herself on her YouTube channel with millions of followers? Did you know, Miss Salt Lake City Mayor, that the same victim that doesn't want these records released is actually a public figure with her abuser? Monetizing off this story? Did you know what she said about you guys in this video? She said it was your fault. Michelle, thank you. I haven't even left notes or anything. Moonchild, thank you so much. I also just want to shout out.
Child 57
I forgot it's a TS. Let me wait.
$49.99 through Super Chat. And you have left no stone unturned. Congrats.
Thank you, Moonchild. Also, I did receive your email this morning. Thank you so much. I had a really crazy, hectic morning, so I didn't reply to you, but it is on my list to follow up. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your email. So, Miss Salt Lake City Mayor, did you know? And this is what I'm talking about. She takes advantage of government agencies that don't communicate with each other. And hey, I've done that too. Okay, takes one to know one. So this same victim that went out of her way to email the prosecution and cite a concern for her safety about anything that could potentially directly identify me or not, or indirectly, is the same victim that's on YouTube talking about these charges. Look, so much that she went as far as to include a screenshot of the charge. The same victim that is reaching out to you talking about afraid for her safety if you release these records already released them. And Miss Salt Lake City Mayor, did you know that she's actually a public figure that is requesting privacy, but her entire story, along with his, that is rooted in this criminal case, is up for public consumption? And here's the links in case you want to check out those articles that she's, those interviews that she's done. She doesn't live a very private life, but she's asking for privacy for this request. Oh, okay. And so ultimately, the Salt Lake City Mayor agreed with me. Yeah. So, yeah. Super sus. Can you draft a letter that we can only email to those that have interviewed her? Why? I'm the new reporter. I'm the captain now. I have a sizable platform that this was a report. We're the new reporter. I don't see the point in reaching out to the other reporters just to give them all the work that I've done so they can take credit for my reporting and they can try to clean up the shitty ass job that they did by featuring her. Okay? But any future interviews that she may do, and tread lightly, Candice, because I'm sure you got a lot of people waiting for you to take another interview so they can flood your reporters with this information that I've done. I just don't see a point in me anybody reaching out. The stories are already published. Let them stay there. It looks worse for her and for them. I have no desire in reaching out to those reporters to give them the work they should have done. This was months worth of research. No, I'm not reaching out to no fucking reporter. I am the captain now. Okay? But any future interviews, I guarantee you people are going to comment on those interviews. Did you know this? Now you're seeing it happening. And it goes way farther than just that he was arrested for domestic violence. Because in 2023, that's what people were like, oh yeah, did you know he actually got arrested for domestic? But did you know that this woman that you're actually featuring is responsible for 2 deportations? Did you know that when she was in the US, she was weaponizing statuses? Yeah, that would be interesting. I would love to see Candice do another interview after this series. I think she knows better. And I think she's been made uncomfortable about interviewing before this. When she got called out for the interview where she made the reporter cut me. So I think it's fair to say that she's been made uncomfortable about taking interviews, taking up the space and the face of deportation, even prior to this series. But go ahead, take another one, Candice. Take another one, Candice. See how the public responds now.
At Janet Figueroa X4M sent $9.99 cheese Maybox.
Thank you, Janet.
Luis Respitos. You're a chingona.
Thank you so much, besties. Thank you to all of you for supporting this series and the research. This truly has been a community effort. Yes, I've been the voice behind it. Yes, I've done a lot of the reporting, but this has truly been a community effort in digging up this entire story. I wouldn't have taken it this far without a watching audience, without a monetizing series, without you guys supporting, whether it was through, research fees or the hours that I've spent on here. So just know that this was a community collective effort to bring out the real story of Candice Smith. And it's important. It's important. It was part of advocating for the real deportation stories. I just wish somebody would confront her for answers. They have, and she blocks everybody. And I've said this before. Perhaps I'm emailing 50 Cent Production Company. Right now, this information may not take off the way we all want it to. Okay? Mark my words. Candice is going to fumble on her own. And eventually, all this information is going to become relevant. May not be right now, may not be next year, but there's going to be a point she fumbles, and this information becomes relevant, and I promise you people are going to come apologize to me. Right now, many people can't see past the messenger, which is Annie JRC, and she's so fucking problematic, and she just hates everybody, and she's just a hater, and she's just jealous of Candice, and blah, 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 right? Eventually, the information will become relevant at a different point that has nothing to do with Annie. Promise you it will. 50 Cent would go to town on this. You can only hold up a facade for so long, y'all. The reason her shit's coming crashing down is because she's built her platform off of lies. Her entire story is a facade. And congrats to her. She's managed to hold it together for 5-6 years. Somewhat. Because even during 2023, it came crumbling down a little bit. It's only a matter of time. Linda, thank you so much.
Evan Dalsuma 7259 sent $10 cheese Maybox. Congratulations. You are going to be an awesome lawyer, Eddie.
I love when you guys tie this series into like, you're gonna be a good lawyer, because I think so. Yeah, because look, you're gonna tell me, yeah, this is months worth of research, okay? This right here. This is months worth of research, legal fees, appeals, grammar requests, multiple counties, multiple cities, multiple police departments, multiple courthouses, multiple men. This bitch had me all around Utah. I researched different counties, the marriage certificates, the marriage records, the fucking criminal cases, the civil cases. I haven't even included like the civil suits against her, but this up here, yeah. Love me or hate me, like this is legal research up here. That's what attorneys do. When people are like, why are you doing this? I'm practicing. And this was a perfect opportunity to do so. Who is funding that big build of hers? Our community. Don't ever let her tell you that she built that house with her fucking MBA and her YouTube. Our community built her house. Your taxpayer dollars laid down the foundation. And we, the undocumented community, the deported community, the Mexican American community, built that fucking house. And that's a conversation she's also not ready for. I don't ever want to hear that bitch mention that fucking MBA again. And I don't think she has since. I don't think she's mentioned the MBA since.
At Adriana GDZ sent $1.99 cheese Maybucks. Any write a mixtape like Afro Man did, rolling on the floor laughing
Hey,
emoji.
Bam Bam! AI Bestie, it's your time to shine, baby girl, okay? AI Bestie, if you're watching this, it's your time to shine, baby girl. I want someone to make a remix of her la 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 with the fucking 911 call. Like, just take the dancing part of it and then put the 911 call audio over it. The deported comedian needs to file a claim for that case. Yeah. I have a big problem with her not even crediting the community for that fucking house. I have a big problem with her trying to take credit for everything she's done out here. Show us the MBA. Where's the MBA? And the PPP loan fraud. Yeah, I forget about that shit. I know, I'm supposed to be working on a brief. Okay, now that we've closed up, I'm gonna start working on that brief for y'all. This pissed me off enough to write the brief. It did. Yeah. It would be nice if Brian could tell us. Brian divorced her in 2012. She claimed she got her MBA in 2017. He wouldn't know. She doesn't have it, guys. I would have found something on that MBA. The only thing I could find when looking up her education records is the fucking sketch cabaret, bitch. The sketch cabaret is the only record I have found of her so-called education. So if she has one, it's in fine arts. Okay? It's not in criminal whatever. It's not in business administration. What the fuck are you administering besides fucking YouTube over here? Okay? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I am not going to let her gaslight me into this MBA bullshit no more. No more. If y'all want to be gaslight, fine. But no, we're no longer doing that MBA bullshit. We would have found something by now if she had an MBA. Or a fucking bachelor's in something. Ask yourself why she never talks about her US-based work. Ask yourself why you've never seen it. Why there's no pictures of that graduation ceremony. Just like there's no pictures of her fucking engagement. Because he was in fucking jail when she said it happened. Just like there's no pictures of anything really besides fucking getting to Mexico. Do you ever wonder why she never shows you life before deportation? And mind you, her YouTube channel description says, documenting our life before, during, and after my husband's deportation to Mexico. Where's the life before? This is it. Why is there no highlights of life before? Because the life before was a complete fucking desmadre. Okay? It was a desmadre. It was a mess. It was chaos. And that's part of why she moved to Mexico. She started fresh. Just like I started fresh and I left my criminal history behind. She left her, I don't know what to call this, her whole activities behind. Her shit was so messy. Like equivalent, like, and mind you, I've been messy too, okay? But her timeline with these men's is crazy. That's what she was running from. She wasn't running to Mexico to be with her husband. She was running from her history in the US. She had burned all her bridges. You really think after spending years obtaining an MBA, she's gonna dip to another country with this man that she hadn't even been together with him consistently. She'd been on and off with him and fucking other dudes at the same time. You really think she made this plan to move to Mexico to keep her family together? No. She was out there fucking winging it. She saw the opportunity and then she went viral on TikTok and said, aquí chingue. Because back home, I'm on welfare. Back home, I'm barely making it. Back home, I got all this crazy. You think her family was happy with her back there? Why do you think she has no she had no relationship with her dad? Her dad had been trying to intervene since the bitch was 16 years old. Fucking went around with a married 31-year-old man. Okay? She was running when she came to Mexico. She was running and she was hiding from her fucking dark past. And she rebranded herself as La Güerita 70 and a mommy vlogger and this dedicated, committed wife. And nobody was ever going to know about the Smith files. Yeah. Yeah. You think she really came out here because keep my family together and she believed that the system was unjust and she wanted to be an ally, and she moved out here because she had nothing left out there. She was out there fucking winging it. And yeah, Fidel's kid around Fergie after she got him deported. Crazy work. Crazy work. Someone said the paper behind you has info. My shipping address. Y'all are so weird. Every time they're like, Annie, you have paperwork. Like, relax. Who's zooming in to my background? This ain't La Güerita 70. I promise you ain't gonna find shit back there. Okay? Promise you there's nothing interesting in my school notebooks or my cup cells. This is not La Güerita 70 over here, baby girl. Okay? You don't gotta analyze what's behind me. Living with random dudes. Yeah, lying to the popo. Dude, her statements to the cops are crazy. That 911 call just pisses me off. And it's crazy how, what I remember when I first listened to the 911 calls, and we did like, I think, a private live, right? Because we wanted to keep it in here, and like, oh, we felt bad for her. Now I kind of feel played too. Like I'm mad that when I listened to the 911 call, I felt empathy for her. I'm mad that I kind of believed her. I'm mad about this. I take this shit personal. I think maybe she did move out there to keep her son with his father, but I think she... Do you remember her going away party that she threw? I don't know if you were here for that when we showed the going away party that was hosted for her on Facebook at the bar. Most women, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but those of you that have left your entire lives in the U.S. to move to Mexico to keep your family together, were you celebrating that at a bar with your friends and getting drunk prior to your move? Do I have any spouses, any wives on here that have moved to Mexico? Like that just it just sounds twisted. Imagine you're planning to uproot your entire family and your family's been separated. You've been through this traumatic deportation. You're going to leave your whole family behind. There's a reason that bitch was celebrating and not crying. Are you thinking about throwing a going away party at a bar as if it was like una despedida de soltera, bitch, is what it was? Una despedida de su putería que llevaba en Estados Unidos es lo que era. She was throwing a fucking bachelorette party, bitch, because she knows she been throwing that shit around town. And her move to Mexico, man, I gotta lock down over there because I ain't gonna know nobody, number one. And number two, well, I'm gonna settle down finally. Okay? Normal people, part of this community that are facing family relocation, deportation, separation, are not fucking celebrating at the bar with their friends taking shots ahead of their move to a new country. We're just not. And that goes to show you how fucking disconnected she was and currently is. Because what do you mean? The U.S. deported your husband and you came over here with nothing and life was so hard. What do you fucking mean, bitch? You were throwing a party. You was throwing a party. Hold on. Please hold for receipts. Some of these receipts we've already seen throughout the series, but I just feel like it's important to recycle them a little bit. Here it is. It was a 21 and older event hosted by one of her friends from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. And the cover photo was of her with her child, mind you. It's labeled Candice's farewell party. Yeah. Yeah. But that same lady, so it went from that, so tell me how we go from this, how do we go from this to a party? Think you can hurt me? La la la. The U.S. deported my husband and moved to Mexico with nothing. But you were celebrating. You were celebrating the move. You see what I'm saying? Depending on who the audience is, the narrative changes. Because when she was celebrating with all her white friends over there taking shots at the bar, it wasn't a poor me, the U.S. deported my husband. It was a yeah, hoorah! I'm gonna go to Puerto Vallarta and Cancun, whatever the fuck, right? I'm moving to Mexico where they have margaritas and tacos. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Mind you, the picture includes the baby, but the baby can't go to the party because it's a 21 and older event. Oh, okay. Fidel's not even in the picture, mind you. Okay. It's given Cinco de Drinko. Tell me that shit ain't giving Cinco de Drinko. You know what? Let me find the link to her farewell party. Who sent me the link to her going away party? Oh, I didn't save it. I don't remember the. If one of you guys are in here and has a link to the event, please resend it to me. Whenever mommy to be has a baby shower, I only buy the baby shower gift. I also buy gifts for the siblings. That's where you think they have carne asada and onions at the going away party or not? So look, can you resend it to me? Sorry, I've done terrible at saving some of these receipts. Yeah. Why is she throwing a farewell party if she was coming back? Right. Like you're literally a citizen. Like you're gonna be right. In fact, you circle back every few months, probably to do sketch cabaret activities. What you know what I'm saying? It was a Cinco de Gringo party for her farewell. Actually, that's why I want the link so I can show you guys what the event looked like. And everybody that was responding was a bunch of white people. Why wasn't his family invited to the going away party? Why wasn't this like a family? Why didn't she do one with her family? You think she did one with her family? I will hope so. But it's just so like fucking tone deaf. And mind you, that this is the same lady that turned into this. Yeah. Crazy work. And Brian's sister was coming. Didn't someone say Mexico or, but I think so. There was, okay, here it comes. Bestie, thank you. I just got the link. Let me show y'all what it looked like. I think this whole series triggered her plan to Mother's Day and use. Can we talk about the fact that her marriage anniversary to Fidel is May 10th, and she doesn't celebrate it with him, ever? Like ever. All right, here is the event. Let me make this a little bit bigger. And if you guys want to look at it, let me share the link. Here's a farewell party. There's a link. All right. It was hosted November 11th, 2017. Well, maybe she had one Latino in there. Her name was Andrea Dominguez. Let's see who her guests were. Oh, it doesn't show us. Discussion. Summer Perkins. Nikki Stamant. There was somebody that said, oh, look. So, look, the event name, the description says, please come and bid farewell to Candice, a woman who has made each of our lives better with her bright smile, sarcastic comments, and fierce devotion to her friends and family. She's taken the next step on her exciting path in life. It's not a goodbye, just see you later. Join us to send her off. Mexico or bust. This event is 21 and older. It's giving Cinco de Drinko with gringos. Yeah. Mexico or bust. Oh, look. There's her ex-husband's sister. What kind of respect do you think there is for Fidel with this ongoing relationship with her ex-husband's sister? Crazy. All right, whatever. A bunch of just, Anderson, Eoff, Draper, Singleton. Oh, there's Candice. Chance, Bonk. Yeah. The Mexico or bus is weird. Again, like I'm convinced their relationship is weird, but whatever. To each their own. I do believe that the relationship is an equally benefiting transactional marriage. He got papers. She went viral. She makes money now off of his story. I don't see love. Like, why aren't you celebrating anniversary? You left your husband during anniversary? Every fucking year? Never once has she acknowledged their anniversary. That's just weird to me. Guys, mal gringa. No, en realidad sí. And so, in summary, this trip was una despedida de su putería. That's what I think. It's not giving, it's not giving emotionally impacted wife. Diego don't even look sad, bitch. Like, the kid don't even look sad. The dynamics are weird. Like, all of it. Again, I truly believe with everything that we've dug up, she's an opportunist. And she saw what she could obtain monetarily through this community, and she did just that. But her history, dating back to her ancestry, dating back to her time that she claimed she was with Fidel since 08, but since 08, she's been throwing dudes in jail, handing them over to ICE. My husband had an apartment in Juarez, not knowing when he was coming back because of a castigo. We were sad because we didn't know how long he would be in Mexico for. We had a family dinner night before to say goodbye. That party was hosted a month before she actually left. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. Big house with separate, yeah. What about Carlos Julia? I don't have no interest in Carlos. We already did his. Julia, I'm waiting on the green card files to come through from Homeland. We're just fucking insensitive. White people monetize. White people demonize what their lives are liberal, weird, and fago. She got him deported, now we're building him a house. I mean, cool. And here's the thing. The end goal could have been the same with honesty. My issue is not they have this messy past and that she did this, she did that. I'm sure there's a lot of people on here with similar histories and they're still with their dude or whatever. My issue is the lies. My issue is the misrepresentation. And my big issue now is the way even her lies reached the authorities. They're strategic lies. They're lies that she knows are going to certain things are going to happen with those lies. She's a smart girl. She is. She's not entirely dumb. Right? She's not as smart as me, but she's smart. She knew what she was doing. She knew how it worked. She saw what happened to Ortiz, and she still did the same thing to Fidel. So she could have been honest about all this, and we wouldn't give a fuck. Honestly, we really wouldn't. But I can also tell you that the public would have responded different to her story if they knew the truth. This wouldn't have been a feel sorry for me, like help me with my big Catholic wedding, help me with building my house, here's a donation, I do this. We would have responded differently. I know I would. It makes a difference. No, you're not just a sweet little old white lady that's been committed to her husband since 2008 and you guys have a steady marriage and you've been committed. No. It was a messy ass story. Anyway. Julie in a few months. Hello from Mexico. Harris was. Oh, thank you. You can tell there's no... And here's the thing. Granted, they've been together for a hell long time. Right? I understand... After so long, maybe you're not going to express the same level of... I don't know. You guys tell me. I haven't been with a motherfucker for that long. Right? But I don't expect them to be honeymoon phase material. But I just never see no fucking love there. Nada. I never see, never shouts him out. Doesn't even acknowledge their fucking anniversary. Nothing. There's something missing there. For as much as she curates everything, she doesn't do that with their marriage. And there's a reason why. She only uses the bits and pieces of him that are convenient to her image, to her storyline, such as appropriating his story. But outside of that, she doesn't. It's all about Candice. It's a Candice show. He's just a character. But with his story. It's a Candice show with his story. You see what I'm saying? And why it clashes. Okay, if you want to make this about Candice, make it about Candice. But it's not about Candice. It's about Fidel through Candice. And that's the problem that I have with her appropriating the deportation story. I've been with my husband for 21 years and we still celebrate anniversary in our affection. Okay, yeah, see? So I just think it's weird that there's no public love there when they publicize absolutely fucking everything. And their platform is built on this love story but there's never no fucking love in the content. Ever. Ever. I mean, May 10th should be a big day. Yeah, that's the day we got married in immigration jail, whatever. But that's the day that we took vows and commitments and I gave up the puteria for him. Their anniversary should actually be a big deal considering the fucking history here. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Something's funky there. But we're going to book a trip instead, leave him in Mexico, and I'm going to go celebrate in Vegas with my sister. It's weird. Just like the fucking going away party is weird. There's never any consideration of him except for when it's convenient to her storyline, except for when it's time to talk about deportation in front of a news reporter. See what I'm saying? He was in one lockdown sleeping with... And it's Mexican's Mother's Day. You don't want to spend that with your husband? I just think the dynamics are fucking weird. Weird. Anyway. How do y'all feel? The 911 call had everything that I thought it was going to have. When we first got the 911 call with the redactions, I knew there was something after that. His real name is this, and then everything redacted. The 911 call had everything that I predicted would have. No más faltó que le dijera, he's an illegal. Literally. No más faltaba que dijera, he's an illegal. Everything was mentioned but the actual word. But if you read between the lines, that entire call was to report an undocumented Mexican, like she said. Can't wait for Julia's. Yeah, let's see what we dig up over there. I'm sure it's going to be something similar. There's a reason why I take interest in reporting on certain stories. I know something's there, okay? And I fucking called it with her. Everything that happened in this series, I predicted before the records even came through. And there's a reason I took interest in Julia's. I can tell you something's there. And the only difference is for Julia, her man is still up there without permanent status. She has been a bold ass bitch to be moving how she's moved with her man holding a conditional green card. Conditional, because all green cards are conditional and they can be revoked at any time. She has been a very bold person to be doing everything she's done on social media, knowing that there's something there and that his status could potentially be weaponized by an audience that's very upset with her. That his status could be weaponized the same way that she's weaponized other people's. And the same way she's come after other people and their families is the same way that the internet's going to respond when we pull his files. For as much as she's joked around about deportation and calling ICE on other people, that is crazy considering her man is a green card holder. And green cards are not permanent. And under this administration, be afraid, bitch. Be very afraid, because I've seen green card holders arrested by ICE under current administration. I've seen a lot happen to green card holders in this current administration. I've seen a lot of talks about, revoking status and placing people with status in deportation proceedings on the basis of fraudulent claims, on the basis of criminal convictions, which he has. So I'm gonna just say as a intro into Julia's upcoming series, she's been moving real bold for somebody married to a green card holder. They're not taking that shit lightly, so I would be very careful coming on her hee-hee-ha-haing about deportation when your husband might be next. I would be very careful flaunting that soft life when you might be in fucking rancho next like this bitch. I'll be very careful what you're hee-hee-ha-haing about behind in that fucking closet, bitch. Very careful. I'll be saving all that Louis Gucci Fendi Prada money. I will be saving all that for some legal. You just never fucking know. We don't want to see you on here later asking for, legal fee money through GoFundMe's and shit, Julia. Because you got it like that. Remember, she got to like that. So I'm sure if anything was needed for her the love of her visa, I just know they got that shit on lock because he makes money. Oh, she has a lot of haters because she's made them. She has been such an aggressive creator. Again, in my opinion, very boldly so, knowing what type of shit is in that closet. That's all I'm saying. But, so I'm going to just say that everything, I'm pretty good at predicting. I'm pretty, like not to toot my own horn, but I've been spot on with fucking Candice's story. Every prediction I made, I was right. Because I really don't be making these predictions as a hater or just pointing my finger. Like, there's a science to this. And you have to have a certain eye that I have. The most of y'all don't. Which is why y'all get bamboozled for years by bitches like Candice. Okay? I just know there's something there. Something tells me something's there. And I don't know. I would be nervous if I was her. Absolutely. After the cagadera that she's made on social media, the amount of people she has affected in their real lives. Oh, I be shaking in my fucking Nacho Libre boots, bitch. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway. Clear soft life. Yeah. Hey, you can have a soft life in Mexico. I don't know. Not me, but it ain't gonna be me. I don't live a soft life, but I'm sure women here do.
Gar said $9.99 cheese Maybox. You are batting 1,000 Annie LOL.
Hey, take your bets now. Place your bets on the Julia series, taking into consideration how spot on I've been with the Candice series so far. Am I frozen? Am I freezing? So yeah, guys. Oh, I feel like I'm frozen. All right, tell me when I'm back. I can't wait so much. I think people would do Jacobo a favor by giving him an escape from that. He's afraid to leave. We don't know what the real dynamics are there, but I promise you it's not what you see on social media. Okay, Candice's story is a great example of things are not what they appear on social media. Objects in the mirror are not as close as they appear type shit, you know? Let me end camera 3. See if this helps. Okay, am I frozen on YouTube? Depending on Annie for sure. How are the twins' trips? They're going good. They'll be home soon. They'll be home soon. And that's the way the cookie crumbles, besties. I think this episode, and I know Candice has been praying for the end of this series, but I think this wraps up what I wanted to cover on Candice's story. I think this was the final piece of the puzzle that we were trying to put together.
At the age 6 cent $1.99 cheese made up.
What's the bet?
What's the bet I may want in? Rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
What are we betting? We're betting that there is some deportable activities in the green card files for Jacobo Camarillo Garcia. Famous last words, Danny. I don't think it's over. Perhaps I don't know. I just feel like from the receipt side of it, I think I'm done. Candice, I think we might, like, now look, Candice, don't misinterpret this. I ain't never gonna start. I am never taking my foot off her neck. But what I meant by I'm done is the research is done. The context is done. Piecing together the pieces are done. But no, I'm never gonna stop shedding light on this or talking about the fucking fraud that she is and how she exploits our communities and all of that. I'm never gonna stop talking about it. You'll always hear me mention it here and there when it's relevant or when I need to. This just means that I've finished piecing the puzzle together. And a lot of that we did together, but that's what I mean by that. That this phone call, the Ortiz records, the unredacted Fidel records, they pieced together everything that actually happened. And I'm confident that I told her story correctly. You know, remember her YouTube video? Recently, somebody told a story that wasn't theirs to tell, and they told it incorrectly. Follow me to my monetized YouTube channel so I can monetize some more from lying to you, so we can tell you the real story. Oh, that shit hits different now, doesn't it? That shit hits so different, miss. Someone told our story and they told it incorrectly. Really, bitch? Really? Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think the fuck not. I think I'm confident to say that I told her story correctly through public records, through her own voice, through her own witness statements, through her own court filings. I told that story correctly. Don't ever challenge me on telling the story incorrectly. I was offended when she said that. Like I was on here just lying, talking out of my ass. Okay, the same bitch that got on here and started that fucking video with someone told it incorrectly was the same bitch that was doubling down on lies, talking about I was an uncooperating witness. Cue the 911 call. Cue the 911 call. Miss Uncooperating Witness. Diego was nowhere in the room. You know, it's the state of Utah. Cue the 911 call. And my child was right there and he was crying for 15 minutes. And oh my God, I'm so scared. Tell me again I told that story incorrectly. I'm a lot of things. Don't ever call me a fucking liar, bitch. Ever. I am a lot of things. I could be a hater. I could be a bitch. I could be A, B, C, or D. Don't ever call me a liar. Because that's what she did in that fucking video. That's what she did. She implied that I was lying. And she's implied I've been a liar since. Even when she addressed me in February of this year, she implied that I am a liar. That I've made false statements. That I've said things that are not true. Really? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Do you guys want to hear the 911 call before we close? We're about to close out. Hold on. My favorite part of this video was comparing her story time on YouTube to the 911 call. Cries, my son was there, stops crying. He's Mexican. All right. Really quick, to close, I think this will be a good summary. I want to, again, do a side-by-side of her version of events on YouTube and the 911 call.
Imagine being able to...
And if you've been here the whole time and listened to this 911 call as many times as we played it, I'm sorry, but it's relevant. All right. Right there. All right, receipts.
Let me scroll down to that so that I can tell you what those charges were. While we won't get into all of the details of the domestic violence, I will tell you that Fidel and I both had equal parts in that incident. But we were in Utah, so I'll leave that at that. Fidel was ultimately charged with 1 count of assault, Class B misdemeanor, and he was also charged with domestic violence in the presence of a child. I declined to press charges against Fidel. However, the state of Utah still reserves the right to, and they pursued those charges without a cooperating witness, which was me.
3407 South
All right, here comes the uncooperating witness. You ready?
East. It's apartment number 10.
Okay, will you repeat that for verification, please?
Yeah, 3407 South 200 East, apartment number 10.
Which city?
South Salt Lake.
And the phone number you're calling from. Tell me exactly what's happened.
My son's father came over to pick him up before I went to school, and I had somebody that was coming over to look at my car because it wasn't starting, and he tried to get in a fight with the person that came to look at my car, and that person left, and he hit me across the face, and he left.
Okay,
And I had problems with him before.
did this happen this morning or this happened just now?
No, just barely.
All right, now let's go back to her story time.
I will tell you also that Diego was not in the room with us. In Utah, if a child is present in the residence, not present in front of the fight or whatever's happening, they still make it domestic violence in the presence of a child. So they could be 3 stories down in the same residence and it's still in the presence of a child.
Okay. What's the name of the complex there?
It's Elm Tree Apartments.
Is he still on scene?
No, he left.
How many minutes ago did it happen?
Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
Oh, wait, what, Candice? Let's play that again.
Thus, in Utah, if a child is present, 1 count of assault, Class B misdemeanor, and he was also charged with domestic violence in the presence of a child. I declined to press charges against Fidel. However, the state of Utah still reserves the right to, and they pursued those charges without a cooperating witness, which was me. I will tell you also that Diego was not in the room with us.
All right, let me
Need
swing
any
this.
medical assistance? Do I need to start you an
Let me swing this
ambulance?
back.
No. Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
Utah, if a child, thus in Utah, if a child is me. I will tell you also that Diego was not in the room with us. In Utah,
I want to get the exact. Diego was not in the room with us. And then over here, it's...
Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
if a child is
I just
present.
like to hear that play over and
Know
over.
also that Diego was not in the room with us. In Utah.
Sorry. I tried to time it perfectly.
My son was there and present.
Did you need any medical assistance? Do I need to start you an ambulance?
No.
Okay.
It hits different when you have the same voice side by side giving a completely different story. Yes or no? It hits different when I'm saying she's a fucking documented liar, when I'm clocking her in her lie in real time with her own voice contradicting her own statement, which is why I keep rewinding to the precise moment in both recordings where she specifically says Diego was not in the room with us, but in the 911 call, she specifically, and my son was present, right?
Also that Diego was not in the room with us. In Utah, if a child is present in the residence, not present in front of the fight or whatever's happening.
Probably about 15 minutes. My son was there and present.
So on YouTube, she tells you he was not present. 911 call, my son was there and present. Yeah. Sorry, this ain't AI, bitch.
Happening, they still make it domestic violence in the presence of a child. So they could be 3 stories down in the same residence and it's still in the presence of a child. When we went through all of this, Fidel had an outstanding warrant for not following up with probation for the 2008 case. So when all of this happened, they, of course, found that warrant. Fidel went to court on the domestic violence. Him and I had a discussion. He had a public attorney. In between all of these, we had been consulting with attorneys to figure out if there was a way that we could, ultimately fix Fidel's status in the United States. And of course,
if you listen to the 911 call, her verbiage is very telling. There's a reason she says, my son was there and he was present. She doesn't say he had my son with him. She doesn't say he was driving with my son when he pulled up. She doesn't say, she says, my son was there and present. These are very organized statements, very calculated with an end goal in mind. So the police know child is present. You see what I'm saying? Like if you've just been clocked in the face, your verbiage is probably not going to be as organized, articulate, and organized. You see what I'm saying? She didn't say my son was in the front seat. She didn't say he was supposed to be watching the baby and he did this. She said my son was there and present. There's a reason she's very selective in her verbiage, because what she's doing is making sure that call is being legally classified. And she wasn't an attorney, but this tells me she knows what the fuck she's doing. Or she knew what she was doing in that call.
it was difficult. We were getting different answers. We unfortunately got taken advantage of a couple of times. Honestly, it was a mess. It was a mess. And it was super discouraging. And honestly, we stopped trying after a little bit, but back to the domestic violence. So Fidel went to court, and when he went to court, Fidel and I had made a decision. The attorney told us you can stay and fight it, but...
That's crazy when she says we had made a decision, yet there was a no contact order issued between them. So remember, the police report specifically says that a no contact order was issued and served to him as soon as he was arrested. So she's not making it seem like this was a joint decision when, how are you communicating if there's a no contact order? And I can tell you that if they had been in communication through the jail calls, he would have been charged. So she makes it seem that him pleading guilty was a joint decision of theirs. That's a lie.
Ultimately, you're still going to be deported at the end of it. And so Fidel pled guilty because he didn't want to try and fight it. He wanted to just be deported. So
Fidel pled guilty, not because he was guilty, but because he just wanted to be deported. And that's what we agreed to. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because the reason why I question that is that right before he was sentenced, she sent in A victim impact statement. Right here. January 23rd, 2012. Received victim impact and restitution statement from victim services. This tells me that she was cooperating with victim services. And that was right ahead of him being sentenced and pleading guilty on February 16th. So did he plead guilty just so he could get deported, or did he plead guilty because you were providing evidence that was going to sink him anyway, and or he didn't know how to defend himself? He didn't even fucking speak English. Which is it, Candice? This is the same lady that just told you in this video that she was an uncooperating witness. Yes, she was cooperating with victim services and went as far as to give a victim impact statement. What is a victim impact statement? It's a statement provided to the court specifically ahead of sentencing, so that the court takes it into consideration ahead of defendant sentencing to tell him how you've been victimized by this person. And restitution. So she's also asking him, she's telling the court she has monetary damages from this crime that was committed.
He didn't fight it. He was found guilty of it, or he pled guilty. And then they moved him to the other county where the DUI was. And
all right, so that wraps up. So now let me finish playing the 911 call.
Did you need any medical assistance? Do I need to start you an ambulance?
No.
Okay. Was he also verbal with you?
Yes.
And what is his name?
His real name is Fidel Garcia Sanchez, but he works and never does everything under E-Way.
Okay, so Fidel, F-I-D-A-L or E-L?
Fidel.
E-L. And what was his middle name?
It's just Garcia-Sanchez is his last name.
Hyphenated, okay. And what does he go by?
It goes by E-Way.
How do you spell that so I get it right for a record?
It's E-L-O-Y-R-O-S-A-S.
Okay, and what is his date of birth? So how old is he then?
He's, I think, like 33.
Okay. And what race is he?
He's Mexican.
Okay, and how tall is he?
He's about 5'8".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
Medium.
And what color hair does he have?
Black, but it's shaved bald.
What was he wearing today, do you remember?
He was in like a teal blue shirt and just like blue jeans.
Okay. And did he have any weapons?
He had a chain wrapped around his left hand.
Did he use that to hit you with?
No, he took the chain off before he hit me.
Okay. Okay. Was he intoxicated or on drugs?
Not that I know of, but I have no idea.
Okay. Does he have any scars, marks, or tattoos?
No.
Okay. What vehicle was he driving?
He was driving a 2000 Ford F-150.
What color?
It's red, and it's just 4 doors.
And you said it was a 2002?
2000.
2000, sorry.
Yeah.
Is it registered to...
Right, notice not a single peep from the baby that she told responding officers was crying hysterically on the ground.
Witness this happen?
Yes.
How old is your son?
He's almost 2.
Okay. Okay, and what is your name?
Candice Smith. But I go by La Gordita 70.
If your husband comes back, just give a call back immediately on 911, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Sorry guys, I'm just reviewing some stuff that I just got on my YouTube channel. That's her stage name. So I was on my YouTube comments just now. I thought this one was interesting. So it looks like somebody commented here about allegedly Carlos reaching out to their firm. I'm just sharing what's been posted on here, but I'm going to read it to you. On 42 minutes and 20 seconds, this is on a past video on this series, you're talking about the legal situation. I just wanted to say that's how I got onto your page and found out about you, was because they reached out to my firm after viewing your content. I told him that there was nothing illegal about what you were doing. There were moments where you even said positive things. So yeah, the laws of cyberbullying don't apply to you here where you're live, you're not harassing or stalking, blah, blah. I don't know the veracity of this. I don't know if this is, I don't know who the fuck this is, okay? I will just say that there are a lot of floating rumors, and I've known this, that her and Carlos were moving behind the scenes, trying to vigorously find any way to put a stop to this series. Have any of my predictions been wrong so far? I think the fuck not. So anyway, besties, I think that sums up this episode. I didn't want to make it too long, but we're already at 3 hours. He's Mexican. I read that people always look to the left when lying. So now that you have like the real version of events through her own voice, that video, when you watch it and look at the body language, it's very telling. The constant looking back for validation when she's lying, the looking up, looking down, you could see it. I love the left one here. I often hear what product to use. A few. I'd have to make a video. I've been religiously using some hair treatment, and I think it's finally paying off. And yeah, class. So class, what have we learned today? Let's recap. Give me your guys' thoughts. How are you feeling about the season finale? Which I don't know if it'll be the finale, but as far as research, I think we're done with research. And I'm sure there's things we didn't uncover. Here's what I will summarize. Candice is not an ally. She's somebody that has weaponized immigration status at her convenience, and then her same convenience used immigration status as a way to monetize and provide for her family. Candice is a documented liar. She has lied to law enforcement. She has lied to judges. She has lied to her audience. She has lied to news reporters. She is a documented liar, straight up. That's not me. Just there's facts. These are facts that I'm alleging. Okay. She's doing the same shit here that she did in Utah, just under a better guise. Never miss it. And in summary, she does not have any education credentials that I have found. And I hate that I have to say, I wish I could have found a receipt. Honestly, I wish I could have found a degree of hers, at least to say, she doesn't have this type of degree, it's this or something, but I know for a fact she lied about that degree. For a fact. I found everything on her except for that fucking MBA. no MBA. In summary, she's a liar and no MBA. And she's been conning her way to build that house. And congrats, she's gotten far. But don't ever let her tell you that she built that house with her labor, with her MBA, with her education. She built that house by lying to this community, by exploiting American taxpayers, by lying to government entities, judges, authorities. I mean, this girl has lied to everybody. Everything I pulled, there was a lie in it, including those PPP loans. The PPP brief. Oh, we're not done, Candice. I am going to write a PPP brief. I just need a little bit of time. I'm going to write a brief and connect it with some exhibits. It's going to take a little bit of, I need to schedule out some time to organize how I'm going to write it. My daughter has a master's, so quickly find a degree with the search of a name. Yep. She's been scamming since high school. And she was never an ally, and she's still not an ally. La güerita que deportó sus novios. And unfortunately, that's how we close out with this series. This shit's gonna haunt her, and I know she's gonna hate me forever. It's okay. She can continue telling her story as much as she wants, but she will never be able to cover up the Smith files. What she was before she rebranded to, life after deportation and trying to help deported families. Quién sabe qué vergas. And I hope you guys hold her to that. She was behind 2 deportations, including her current husband's. So for all you wives out there that support her, for all you wives that are part of this niche and rally behind her, for those of you that haven't been behind your husband's deportation, because maybe there's more of you out there, and I'm going to assume here, for any of these wives and creators still supporting her, it's because you got something similar in your own history that you can justify hers. If I see any other wife out here supporting her, and as she appropriates their struggle, when she's the one, I'm just going to assume you probably threw your man to ICE too. I'm just going to assume the reason you justify her shit and her story with receipts is because there's something in your story that aligns with her. Whether it's white privilege, whether it's your own history with your husband. Because a wife that actually went through this with no fault of her own and they were just subject to the cruel immigration policies would never co-sign this fucking story. Would never stand behind this story when Candice was behind that call. Twice. So how are you going to get on here and try to relate to these wives that actually went through some shit? You're the type of wife that was throwing a fucking going away party, a Cinco de Drinko with gringos, 21 and over, before your move. She ain't like you guys. She's not like the wives that have struggled and left their entire lives and been uprooted through no fault of their own. She's not like you guys. And so if you're still standing behind her, by all means. But that just tells me, and your story might be next, that just tells me you co-sign that, you justify it because there's something in your own story that you find relatable to Candice. Because it's not I followed my husband to Mexico because of this. It's not because the U.S. deported her husband. She doesn't relate to you in that way. She's not like you guys because she was the moving force. So if I see wives on here with, and I'm not saying like you can't be friends with her, but if you're going to co-sign this story that has such a harmful effect on this community and tells people it's okay to lie about our stories and appropriate things that aren't ours and victimize ourselves when we're fucking responsible, that tells me there's something in your story that's similar to hers. Period. And supporting Candice is diminishing real deportation stories. If you support this deportation story, you're not advocating. You're part of silencing the real deportation stories, because I'll remind you that Candice is heavy on being the one up front. I'll remind you that she's the same creator cutting other real Mexican deportation stories so hers can be on there. I'll remind you that it's the same creator that won't put her story next to a real deportation story. So if you're still supporting that, you are part of diminishing the real deportation stories. You're part of the suppression of Mexicans that have been deported and should have a voice. That's how I feel about people that support Candice. So no, respectfully, you can't like both. You can't support my platform and support Candice's, because her platform oppresses everything that my platform stands for, which is the advocating for real deportation stories, bringing deportation stories out of the shadows. How the fuck can we do that when we have a white lady taking up all the space? How could real deportation stories come forward and people listen and believe them when we have white women appropriating our struggle through fucking lies? So supporting Candice, and mind you, because the majority of you supporting Candice are Mexican Americans, Latinos. We have platformed her. Platforming a fake ass story like this pushes the real ones to the bottom and to the back. She takes up so much fucking space in this niche that she doesn't leave room for people that are actually deported to come forward. And even wives that have gone through the real struggle of their husband being thrown over the border, deported with nothing. She oppresses the real wives that have gone through this. This story should not just offend me. This story should offend the real wives that she's appropriating their struggle when she's the one behind that fucking struggle in her phone. She's the 911 caller. She's behind the call that placed her man in deportation proceedings. She's behind the call that placed another man into deportation proceedings. So think that through when you tell yourself you can like both. No, you can't. It's very much blue versus red over here. It's the same thing I tell Trump supporters, because that bitch is a Trump supporter. Her family, Trump supporters. Those 911 calls, Trump supporters. So no, we can't like both. Sorry. Yup. We cannot be done because who is the papi? We'll never know. I don't think she fucking knows either. In that 911 call, TikTok just died, by the way. In that 911 call, she made, when she was asked about the things that would relate her to Fidel as being a cohabitant, she said they were formerly married, they lived together for 3 years, and they had a child together. I can tell you that the first two were flat out lies. Do you think she's lying about the third one? We'll never know, but if you lied about the first two, I think you would lie about the third one. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think she knows who the dad is, but she pinned it on Fidel. And this is just the beginning. What school was on the report? There was no listed school. She just said West Jordan. So whatever schools, community college, I would say community colleges, not even, I don't think there's any real colleges in West Jordan. See if Sketch Cabaret was in West Jordan. Wait, what? He's not the dad of who? I'm gonna just tell you this. During the time that Diego was conceived, she was living in the same apartment complex as her ex-boyfriend Carlos Ortiz. She didn't move into Fidel's apartment complex with his brother until after the baby was born. So you tell me who the dad is with certainty. I don't think she fucking knows, honestly. Her court records, I think, are just as messy as her personal life decisions during the time that that baby was conceived. I can tell you that during the time of that baby's conception, she was hopping around back and forth from different complexes with different men. And still legally married to Ferguson. De pilon. Utah Valley, Weber State, Utah Tech for bachelors. Look in West Jordan. And we already sent to Westminster, and we sent it to Salt Lake Community College. Raquel, we're not going to use that. No, absolutely not. We are not going to use that terminology, regardless of who fathered that child. Out of here with that bullshit, Raquel. Does Diego look like Carlos? Look, I will not sit here and I do know that my series has brought up the doubts of the who's the papi and the paternity, but I'm also not going to take that boy's image and sit here and compare it. And like, I do have some boundaries to the child. Okay. Just like I just muted that person that referred to him as something really nasty. If you are wondering who the dad is, you're going to have to ask that to the mom. We will not be able to conclude who the dad is. I concluded legally who his dad was, which was Brian Ferguson. But nobody besides Candice and a DNA test will be able to tell you who that boy's daddy is. And I don't think we should do that. Let's compare who looks like who. I just think that's icky. So, yeah. Hashtag who the papi. So, besties, with that, we conclude the receipts for La Guarita 70. Unless we get anything new and crazy. Yeah, that's putting unfair to the child. I feel bad for childhood embarado. His mom. Melanie, welcome.
At Melanie A. Vega 7808 has purchased a membership.
I will have this live available for public replay. I did want that call to be publicized, so this call will be available for public replay. Some of the videos have been member only, but this particular one, when there's content that I feel like is relevant to the exposing her deportation story, such as this one, it will be public. This will be available for public replay. We played the 911 call multiple times. We went back to some old receipts. I think it's important for this one to be available. So make sure you like the video on your way out, on your way in. Thank you to all of you that have supported this series through Venmos, Super Chats, tips, legal fees, all of the above. This was definitely a team effort. A little bittersweet because I think this is closing the chapter. Candice, you can finally breathe a little bit. It is also going to wrap up the Whiteboard series on her. I think it's time to, erase it, start clean. And we move on to the green card files for Julia Garcia. So we will it doesn't mean we're never going to speak on this again. Candice tampoco. Like, don't get too confident. I'll circle back. I may even do another live tomorrow and just regroup and hee hee ha ha. Who knows? But as far as the research, I think we pieced together the puzzle. I feel confident about the case that we put together. I feel confident about the way we tied it in, the timelines, the receipts. I mean, we did some deep work. I feel confident to say that I have narrated her story correctly, factually, with receipts. And the unredacted files were kind of the last piece of the puzzle, which is why I wanted to publicize this, to piece everything together. Ortiz files, Fidel files, Ferguson files, records of where she lived, the 911 calls, all of that. Replaying her version of events, the court records, all of it just kind of came together neatly. And previous episodes were just kind of focusing on bits and pieces of the receipts at a time, but I feel like this last video was just quickly tying everything together, and the finale, which was that 911 call. But now we need a new series. Stick around for the green card files. That's next. This was just as good as the Johnny Depp trial. Also, my pointer broke in this. I'm proud of us, team. We did good. I do think we'll do a regroup live tomorrow where it's not as formal and receipts and, no series will ever be this good.
79.34 cent $9.99 cheese Maybox. I don't think either series will beat Candelaria. Clapping emoji.
Ever. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever. I mean, if we do, maybe, who knows? Maybe the green card files. But Candice's story was incredibly intriguing because of like the double life she's been living, pretty much. The double life, and everything was so shocking because it clashed with everything we've known about her. I don't know that I'll ever run into another creator that has done her big one like this, like the biggest fucking mess, the biggest weave of lies that we had to unravel. Also, yes, so there's a couple. Candice, sorry, just kidding, not done yet. We're still gonna do the PPP loan brief, a regroup of everything. And yeah, so tune in tomorrow for class. What's tomorrow? Tuesday. It's gonna be an evening live, like today. I'm thinking 5:30ish. I'll let you guys know on my member wall what time we go live, but I have some stuff to do in the morning. Even the porter was appalled. A huge shout out to all of my gifters. Native Rain, did you get my email this morning about shipping? If you haven't, I did email you back on your prize so I can get that shipped out this week. We're gonna have to follow up later when Candice is arrested for the PP. I mean, I will say my goal is not to get Candice arrested or charged. I promise you it's not. However, I also acknowledge that the information that I'm uncovering could potentially implicate her in criminal activity that people may report, which is why you guys want me to do the PPP loan brief. So, I don't know. I want to give disclosure. Like, it is not my intention to get her charged or arrested. Will I be reporting on it if she does? Absolutely. But this series was just meant to be informative. You know, it's never meant to cross into the real life and affect people. But I will also say that, you know, all of our actions have consequences, and especially when you lie like this, like eventually it catches up to you. So, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if this leaks into her real life, because this is real life stuff that has affected a lot of people. And I think that naturally that has to have a consequence to some degree. I'm not saying it's going to be for me, but, you know. Anyway. AI bestie, if you're watching, I'm refreshing live. I'm anxiously waiting for your AI updates with this call or with this episode. Bam bam. Oh yeah, she already did. Oh, she's working on it. She's working on it. Stand up, take a bow. Yeah, 5:30. 5:30 my time, but don't quote me yet. I'll post it. I don't like to be late. I don't like to log on and people be like, you are late. But around that time. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in. Take pictures of your whiteboard. Yeah, I do. I do take pictures of them before I delete it or before I erase it, because that's a lot of work. Even like the little brief I did today of the criminal charges took me a second. Great job, everyone. Thanks for coming to class. Thanks for being on time. Make sure you like the live on your way in or out. If you want to become a baddie or a paid member, I have linked the link in the chat. The $9.99 tier includes access to all of my live replays. Behind the scenes, you get the receipts first, monthly giveaways, chats, stickers, and access to a bunch of member-only content. Additionally, thank you to all of you guys that have gifted, super chatted, all of the above. I will meet you guys here punctually around 5:30. I'll let you know my wall. And until then, I'll catch you on the flip side, besties.